Welcome back. Tonight, as you settle into rest, you are invited into a stream of ancient understanding that has quietly shaped human hearts for centuries. These are not merely stories to pass the time, but living doorways into knowing yourself and this world with greater depth. Many who have listened before speak of sleep arriving more gently, and of insight appearing later in ordinary moments, exactly when it is needed. Such is the subtle strength of these old teachings. They move within us beyond the reach of deliberate thought. This evening's journey opens with guidance at once simple and profound, principles so grounded in lived experience that they helped carry Zen across oceans into unfamiliar lands. What would shift inside you if dedication burned warmly in your chest while your gaze remained calm and cool as fading embers? As your body softens and grows heavy, let these words meet you just as you are. Take them in the way you might hear distant waves in the night. Without effort, without trying to grasp, each breath draws you further into ease as the journey unfolds. Drift a little deeper now. Breath by breath, the mind grows receptive, the body resting in a gentle heaviness. A quiet openness stretches across time and place. The scene forms at the dawn of the 20th century, when East and West were beginning to exchange not only trade, but spiritual vision. You stand on the deck of a steamship crossing the immense Pacific. The year is 1893. Japan fades behind as America waits beyond the horizon. Fine mist from the sea touches the air. Seabirds wheel overhead, their cries softened by the steady pulse of engines below. The wooden planks beneath your feet hum with the power of iron propellers turning through dark water. By the railing stands a monk in flowing robes stirred by the ocean breeze. Soyen Shoku, the first Zen teacher to step onto American soil, travels to speak at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago. His face is peaceful yet vividly alert, a blend of inward stillness and clear observation as he watches the line where sea and sky dissolve into one another. His frame is modest, yet his presence carries a quiet authority that draws respectful glances from crew and passengers alike. In his hands rests a small leather journal. Pages lift and settle in the wind, while his brush moves with steady care, forming characters that link ancient insight with a rapidly changing world. These are not passing reflections, but distilled guidance shaped by years of discipline and contemplation. At times he pauses, eyes lifting to the boundless ocean as though receiving instruction from its vastness. A young student approaches and bows. This is D.T. Suzuki, not yet known to the world, simply a devoted disciple accompanying his teacher on an unprecedented voyage. Master, he says, many scholars we will meet ask for practical ways to live these teachings. They admire the philosophy yet struggle to bring it into daily action. He gestures toward the notebook. May I ask what you are writing? Soyen Shoku turns, compassion and intensity mingling in his gaze. His voice is soft, yet every word carries. I am recording the principles that shape my own days, not theories, not doctrines. Simple rules for living that express Zen through action. He looks again to the horizon. They are right to ask. Without daily embodiment, Zen becomes only thought. Nothing about him feels performed. No spiritual persona is being displayed. Ordinary life and deep realization appear seamlessly woven. Suzuki bows again. May I read them, Master? The journal is offered without hesitation. These are the practices I return to each day. They hold the form of my life. Suzuki reads. Surprise shifts into quiet wonder. They seem so ordinary, yet they contain everything. The deepest truths often appear simple. The Master replies, a faint smile softening his features. Practice turns words into living wisdom. A breeze flips the pages. Though written in Japanese, their meaning feels clear. In the morning, before dressing, light incense and sit in meditation. Practice comes before all else. No division stands between spiritual life and daily routine. Stillness sets the tone for everything that follows. Retire at a regular hour, eat at regular times. Take food in moderation, never to fullness. Rhythm and restraint create space rather than limitation. When the body is cared for with balance, the mind is less dragged about by craving. Receive a guest with the same heart you hold when alone. When alone, maintain the same heart you show a guest. No divided self, no mask for public life, and hidden self for private moments. Integrity flows continuously through every setting. Be mindful of your words. Whatever you say, carry it out. Speech and action are one field. Promises become living commitments. When opportunity appears, do not let it pass. Still, reflect carefully before acting. Alert responsiveness joins thoughtful discernment. Neither hesitation nor reckless impulse dominates. Do not dwell in regret. Turn your attention toward what can yet be shaped. Energy is freed from the past and directed where it can serve. Hold the fearless spirit of a warrior and the tender heart of a child. Strength and gentleness meet. Courage lives beside wonder. When you lie down to sleep, do so as if entering your final rest. When you rise, leave the bed at once as though casting aside worn sandals. Even the simplest transitions carry depth. Nothing is treated as trivial. Each moment stands complete in itself. Suzuki lifts his gaze. People may expect something more exotic. These seem so plain. Plain, yes. Easy, no. His voice deepens. My heart burns like fire. My eyes are cool as dead ashes. Passion without blindness. Clarity without coldness. Opposites held in balance. Suzuki bows and withdraws. The ship moves steadily onward. Soyen Shoku returns to his writing, refining words that will influence seekers in lands he has not yet seen. His posture on the deck mirrors his teaching, engaged, relaxed, attentive, open. The journal contains no abstractions, only lived reality expressed through breath, step, and gesture. Such guidance shows the practicality at Zen's core. No elaborate metaphysics, no distant ideals. Concrete daily actions accessible to anyone, in any culture. These principles join depth with ordinary life, tradition with new ground, timeless wisdom with present application. Structure meets flexibility, discipline meets spontaneity. Clear forms exist without rigid dogma. Specific practices point toward boundless awareness beyond technique. As you rest more deeply, Sense how these gentle guidelines might illuminate your own days, not as obligations, not as rules imposed from outside, as invitations to notice natural balances already waiting within your life. Opposites live in you as well, seeking harmony rather than conflict. Let this reflection settle softly as your awareness drifts across centuries to ancient India, when the Buddha walked dusty roads among farmers, merchants, and wanderers, teaching through direct encounter. A village path appears under afternoon sun. Heat shimmers above the earth. Sparse trees offer patches of shade. Leaves murmur in a warm breeze carrying scents of cooking fires and ripening fruit. Birdsong weaves with distant voices and the rhythmic pounding of grain. A group approaches along the road, gathered around a central figure whose presence radiates calm alertness. Siddhartha. Gautama, the Buddha, travels with disciples, sharing a path of liberation. His robe is simple. His bearing suggests quiet fulfillment rather than deprivation. Monks walk near him, attentive and respectful. Lay followers trail behind rich and poor, young and old, drawn by stories of wisdom and compassion. Some seek answers, others simply wish to see him. They pause beneath a broad banyan tree. A bowl of water is offered and received with a nod. No ceremony, only the ease of travelers resting. An elderly woman approaches from the village, bent with age, movements careful from years of labor. Her clothes are plain. Dignity shines through her worn frame. Lines mark her face, yet her eyes are bright with determination. She carries a bundle of firewood, almost too heavy for her thin arms. The crowd parts. She sets the bundle down and studies the Buddha with an expression, not of reverence, but scrutiny. The disciples sense tension. The Buddha meets her gaze with steady openness, neither inviting praise nor resisting criticism. So you are the one they call the Buddha, she says, voice strong despite her frailty. The one who teaches loving kindness to all beings. I am, he answers simply. Murmurs ripple through the followers as her expression hardens. They say you are wise, that your compassion has no limits, that you show a path beyond suffering. Doubt edges her tone. He remains silent, attentive. I have watched you pass through our village many times, she continues. People bring food and gifts. They bow and praise your kindness. Her voice sharpens. I noticed something about this famous compassion of yours. Disciples shift uneasily. The Buddha's face shows only interest. When people speak kindly to you, you speak kindly back. When they praise you, you smile. When they show respect, you return it. She leans forward, pointing a trembling finger toward him. She leans forward, pointing a trembling finger toward him. But tell me, holy man, what happens when someone does not treat you kindly? When respect is not offered? When praise turns to insult? Her eyes search his face with sharp insistence. The crowd holds its breath, unsure whether to be offended or afraid. The Buddha's expression does not change. He does not rush to answer. Silence gathers beneath the banyan tree, thick yet calm. Even the birds seem to pause in their calls. The old woman continues, her voice steady. If your kindness depends on how others behave, then it is nothing special. Anyone can be pleasant when treated well. I want to know what you offer when the world is not pleasant. A few disciples shift forward, ready to defend their teacher, but a small gesture from the Buddha stills them. His gaze remains soft, attentive, fully with her. "Tell me," he says gently, "if someone offers you a gift, but you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" She frowns, caught off guard. "To the one who tried to give it, of course." "In the same way," he replies, "when anger or harsh words are offered, and they are not accepted, they remain with the one who brought them." A murmur passes through the listeners. The woman narrows her eyes, considering. "So you are saying you simply ignore insults?" She challenges. "Oh, I am saying," the Buddha answers, "that I do not need to carry what is not mine. Another's anger is born from their own pain and confusion. If I add my anger to it, suffering grows. If I meet it with understanding, the chain is broken." The woman studies him, searching for any sign of superiority or hidden pride. She finds none. "Fine words," she says, though her tone has softened slightly. "But words are easy. Life is hard. When people cheat you, when they lie, when they cause harm, do you still speak of understanding?" The Buddha nods. Understanding does not mean approving harmful actions. It means seeing clearly the causes behind them. A person who harms others is already burning in their own fire. Hatred never ends hatred. Only wisdom and compassion can cool the flames. Wind stirs the banyan leaves above, dappling shifting patterns of light across the ground. The old woman lowers herself slowly onto a nearby stone, as though the weight she carries is no longer only the bundle of sticks. "My son," she says after a long pause, "was taken by bandits years ago, killed on the road for a few coins. Since then, I have carried anger like a second spine. It keeps me standing, but it also keeps me in pain. If I put it down, what would I have left?" The disciples listen with new attention. This is no longer a challenge thrown for sport. It is a wound speaking. "You would still have love," the Buddha says quietly. "Grief is love with nowhere to go. Anger feels strong, but it is heavy. Love, even when it aches, is lighter to carry." Tears gather in the corners of her eyes, though her jaw remains set. "If I let go of anger, it feels like betraying him." "To cling to anger does not help your son," the Buddha replies. "It binds your heart to the moment of loss. To release anger does not erase love. It allows love to move again, to touch others, to ease your own suffering." She looks down at her rough hands, scarred from years of work. "I do not know how to do that." "Begin by seeing the pain beneath the anger," he says. "Sit with it as you would sit with a crying child. Do not push it away. Do not feed it with more harsh thoughts. Just know it. In that knowing, it slowly softens." No one speaks. Even the restless disciples are still. After a time, the woman reaches for her bundle of sticks, then stops. She looks back at him. Something changed in her gaze. Not blind devotion, not complete agreement. A small opening. "You are not what I expected," she admits. The Buddha smiles gently. Expectations often hide what is actually here. She gives a short, rough laugh. That may be true. With effort, she stands. A young monk steps forward to help lift her bundle, but she shakes her head, then hesitates, and finally allows him to carry part of the load. As she walks back toward the village, her steps seem no lighter, yet something in her posture has eased. The crowd slowly exhales, the tension dissolving into thoughtful quiet. One of the younger monks turns to the Buddha. "Why did you let her speak so harshly to you, blessed one?" Many felt protective. "If I had stopped her," he says, "her pain would have remained locked inside." Being heard is sometimes the first step toward healing. They rest a little longer in the shade before continuing on their way, sandals stirring small clouds of dust on the sunlit road. This meeting, simple and unplanned, carries the same spirit as the principles written long ago on a ship crossing the sea. Wisdom is not separate from daily life. Practice is not reserved for quiet halls or mountain temples. It appears in conversation, in conflict, in grief, in the way one person listens to another without defense. As your body rests more deeply, feel how these two scenes, an ocean voyage and a village road, touch the same truth. A burning heart, cool, steady eyes, structure that supports freedom, compassion that does not depend on being treated well. Breath flows in and out, slow and natural. Nothing to force, nothing to fix. Ancient voices fade into the background like evening light, leaving only a gentle sense of space inside you, wide enough to hold both strength and softness, both sorrow and peace. Dust rises softly behind the departing group, then settles back onto the sun-warmed road. The banyan leaves whisper overhead. Life in the village resumes its ordinary rhythm, voices calling, pots clinking, children laughing somewhere beyond the trees. Nothing outwardly remarkable has happened. No miracle, no dramatic conversion, no grand display of power. A conversation, a question, a moment of honest pain met without resistance. Yet something subtle has shifted, like a stone dropped into still water, sending rings outward long after the splash is gone. The Buddha and his companions continue walking, robes brushing lightly with each step. A young monk at the back of the group speaks in a hushed tone to an elder beside him. "I felt anger rise when she spoke so sharply," he admits. "I wanted to defend him." The elder monk nods. "I felt it too." Ahead of them, the Buddha walks at an unhurried pace, aware of their exchange without turning around. To see anger arising is already a step toward freedom, he says. If you had spoken from it, more anger would have grown. By knowing it and letting it pass, you protected your own heart. The younger monk lowers his gaze thoughtfully. No scolding, no praise, only clear reflection. The road bends through open fields where farmers pause in their work to watch the saffron-robed travelers pass. Some bow, others simply stare with curiosity. The Buddha responds to each in the same way, with a presence that neither clings nor withdraws. The afternoon light begins to soften. Long shadows stretch across the earth. A breeze moves through tall grasses in slow waves, like breath moving through a resting body. As you observe this scene, notice how the teaching continues without formal instruction. No raised platform, no ritual. Walking itself becomes practice. Listening becomes practice. Meeting praise and criticism with the same steady heart becomes practice. The old woman's question still echoes. What happens when the world is not kind? This question lives in every human life. Kindness comes and goes. Health changes. Oh, plans unravel. People misunderstand. Loss arrives without asking permission. If peace depends only on pleasant conditions, it remains fragile, easily broken. There, both the Zen master on the ship and the Buddha on the road point toward another possibility, a stability not built from controlling the outer world, but from understanding the movements of the inner one, a heart that can burn with care, commitment, and love, while the eyes remain cool enough to see clearly. Feel how these two qualities support each other. Passion without clarity becomes blind reaction. Clarity without warmth becomes distance and indifference. Together, they form a balanced presence able to meet life as it is. Your own breath continues, gentle and steady. No need to change it. The body rests, supported, growing heavier in a pleasant way. Thoughts may drift through like clouds across a wide sky. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Nothing needs to be held. Imagine carrying into your own days even one of those simple principles from the journal on the ship. Rising with intention, eating with awareness, speaking only what you are willing to live, meeting others with the same sincerity you show when alone. Small actions, repeated quietly. Mopple, shaping the tone of a life. Imagine also meeting difficulty the way the Buddha met the old woman. Not shrinking, not attacking, listening deeply enough to sense the pain beneath harsh words, choosing not to pick up what does not belong to you, responding from steadiness rather than from wounded pride. These are not distant ideals reserved for saints or sages. They unfold in ordinary moments while washing dishes, answering a message, waiting in traffic, lying awake in the dark. Each moment offers a chance to begin again, to return to balance. Night deepens around you now. The world grows quieter. Muscles soften further, releasing the last small efforts of the day. The mind, no longer pulled in so many directions, settles like clear water after ripples fade. Somewhere in the distance of imagination, a steamship continues across a moonlit ocean. A monk writes by lantern light, brush moving slowly across paper. On another path under ancient trees, a small group of travelers walks beneath emerging stars. Different lands, different centuries. EAT, one continuous thread of practice woven through simple human lives. You do not need to travel anywhere to touch this thread. It runs through your own awareness, here and now, in the gentle rise and fall of breathing, in the quiet space behind your thoughts, in the natural wish to be at ease and to cause less harm. Let the stories dissolve now, like footprints fading from a sandy shore as the tide comes in. Nothing to remember, nothing to achieve. The body knows how to rest. The mind knows how to grow still when given permission. Heart warm, eyes cool, breath slow. Night holding you in patient silence as you drift toward deep, restoring sleep. This is not loving kindness, she says, her voice carrying across the silent gathering. This is only exchanging politeness with those who already admire you. A quiet shock moves through the disciples. Several younger monks glance toward their elders, expecting someone to step forward. The Buddha remains completely at ease, offering her the same attentive presence he would give a devoted follower. Anyone can be pleasant to those who are pleasant in return. The woman continues, even thieves and tax collectors manage that much. Where is this extraordinary compassion people speak of? I do not see it. Heat shimmers above the road. No one speaks. All eyes rest on the two figures beneath the banyan tree. A warm smile spreads across the Buddha's face. Not forced, not defensive. A smile of recognition. You are right, he says gently. Simple exchange is not what I mean by loving kindness. Thank you for pointing this out. He inclines his head toward her with genuine respect, surprising those who had braced for rebuke or correction. Tell me, he asks, if someone offers you a gift and you choose not to receive it, who does the gift belong to? She studies him, puzzled by the turn in the conversation to the one who offered it. He nods. In the same way, if anger or harsh words are offered, and I do not take them into my heart, they remain with the giver. This is not superiority. It is simply understanding how things work. Her expression shifts, not melting into admiration, but loosening, as though a knot has eased slightly. She had expected resistance or condescension. She finds neither. And what about the truth in my criticism? She presses, though her tone has softened. Do you deny it? Not at all, the Buddha replies. Truth is welcome, no matter how it arrives. Loving kindness has no meaning if it is given only to those who please us. He gestures lightly toward his followers. We are all learning this, myself included. Mopple. The disciples who moments ago felt defensive now nod, recognizing themselves in his words. You are not offended, the woman asks, curiosity replacing accusation. How could I be offended by something that helps us see more clearly? He says. You have reminded us that compassion must include the unpleasant, the critical, the difficult, as much as the agreeable. Warmth fills his smile. Today you have offered a teaching more valuable than many long talks. Something in the air changes. The exchange that began with challenge settles into quiet mutual respect. The bundle of sticks still rests at her feet, yet the weight she carried inside seems lighter. Perhaps there is something to your path after all, she says, the faintest smile touching her weathered face. She bends to lift her firewood. The Buddha steps forward and helps raise the bundle. Their hands meet briefly. Teacher and critic joined in a simple, human gesture. She walks back toward the village, posture a little straighter than before. The Buddha watches her go, then turns to his disciples. That woman is one of our great teachers, he says softly. She reminds us that loving kindness is not politeness. It is openness that makes no division between friend and challenger. His gaze lingers on the road she has taken. Remember her whenever you find your compassion shrinking toward only those who agree with you, like rough sticks that can either burn destructively or warm a home. Her words carried hidden fire, Defensive reaction would have turned that fire into conflict. Steady presence allowed it to become light. People often build inner walls against criticism, sorting others into supporters and opponents. Those very divisions can block the connection we long for. The Buddha's smile did not deny the sharpness of her words. It recognized that they tested the sincerity of his own teaching. He did not claim her. Criticism had no effect. He simply did not cling to it or let it define him. Engagement without entanglement. Responsiveness without reactivity. As you drift closer to sleep, imagine meeting your next difficult conversation this way, not as an attack to repel or a problem to win, but as a person carrying a bundle of sticks, both a burden and a possible gift. What truth might be hidden in words you have resisted? What unexpected teacher might appear in the form of someone who challenges you? There is a way of listening that gathers the truth while letting the emotional sting fall away. A way of seeing that does not collapse into either blind acceptance or rigid rejection. Your awareness floats gently as the scene shifts across mountains and centuries to a monastery in ancient China, where snow begins to fall in the quiet courtyard of a temple. Flakes descend from a pale sky, softening rooftops and stone paths into smooth white curves. Breath rises in small clouds that vanish into the cold air. Incense smoke threads upward, carrying the scent of cedar and sandalwood into the stillness. From the meditation hall comes the hollow wooden sound of a fish drum, marking the rhythm of seated practice. The steady knock echoes through the snowy hush, keeping minds alert through long hours of silence. A lone monk crosses the courtyard. Kyogen, in the middle years of his life, has spent 15 years in study and meditation. His face shows intensity sharpened by frustration. Every step is deliberate, driven by a question that refuses to loosen its grip. Snow gathers on his shoulders and hat, unnoticed. Near the hall stands his teacher, Master Isen, older in years yet bright-eyed and relaxed, his presence open and unforced. Master, Kyogen says, bowing deeply, I must speak with you. They walk beneath a covered passage where snow cannot reach. Student and teacher stand facing one another, breath visible in the cold. What troubles you? Isen asks. I have studied the teachings, Kyogen says. I have practiced without fail, yet I cannot answer the great question. What was my original face before my parents were born? The question hangs in the air, not about features or ancestry, but about the deepest nature beyond history and thought. Isen does not rush to respond. Silence opens around them. Please, Kyogen urges. Let's. Composure. Fraying. I have reached the limit of my understanding. Guide me. If I explain, Isen says quietly, it becomes my understanding, not yours. Frustration tightens Kyogen's posture. Then what can I do? If a man climbs to the top of 100-foot pole, Isen says, how does he take one more step? The image strikes deeply. Effort has brought Kyogen as far as effort can go. Still, the master points to a step beyond. I do not know, Kyogen whispers. 1. Let go, Isen says simply, and walks away. Snow continues to fall. The drum inside the hall keeps its steady rhythm. Something in Kyogen shifts from restless striving to unwavering resolve. Days pass. He works, eats, and moves with quiet intensity. One morning, while sweeping in a bamboo grove, his broom sends a small stone flying. It strikes a hollow stalk with a clear, ringing sound that hangs in the air. In that instant, everything opens. Aid. Laughter bursts from him, bright and unrestrained. The weight he carried falls away like a dream dissolving at dawn. Understanding does not arrive as words. It arrives as direct seeing, simple and complete, like the pure tone of bamboo in winter air. Snow melts. Breath slows. Stories fade into spacious silence as sleep draws near, gentle and deep. That evening, after the lamps have been lit and the temple grounds lay wrapped in quiet, Kyogen stands outside his teacher's quarters. Snowmelt drips steadily from the eaves. The sharp edge of winter has softened into a deep, listening stillness. Aid. He bows at the entrance. Master Issen looks up as he enters. His gaze rests on his student's face, taking in the change that needs no explanation. The strain that once tightened his features has dissolved. In its place is a clarity that seems both ordinary and luminous. You have seen something, Issen says, not asking, simply acknowledging. Kyogen bows again. Today a stone struck bamboo, and what could not be explained became clear without words. Issen nods slowly. Can you express it? One sound. Kyogen replies, Yeti, and all my questions fell away. What I once called knowledge feels like a single hair floating in vast space. All my efforts seem like a drop of water lost in a deep ravine. He does not describe what he realized. He speaks only of how his relationship to seeking has changed. The grasping hand has opened. The distance between seeker and sought has vanished. The 100-foot pole, Issen says quietly. There was never a pole, Kyogen answers. With a faint smile. No climber, no step to take. Their eyes meet in shared understanding. Nothing more is required. Words have reached their limit. Silence completes the exchange. Years pass. Seasons turn across the mountainside. Kyogen grows older and becomes a teacher himself, known for directness that cuts through confusion without cruelty. Students gather, drawn by the depth of his presence more than by eloquent speech. One afternoon, a young monk approaches him with the same restless intensity Kyogen once carried. Master, the monk says, bowing deeply, I have studied the teachings and practiced diligently. Still, doubts torment me about the nature of mind and reality. Please end my confusion. Kyogen studies the monk's face. He sees sincerity. He sees effort. He sees the tight knot of seeking that mistakes tension for dedication. Without speaking, Kyogen raises one hand, extending 2 fingers. With his other hand, he lifts a small oil lamp burning beside him. Slowly, deliberately, he moves his fingers into the flame. The monk gasps. The sharp scent of burning flesh rises into the air. Kyogen's face remains calm, eyes steady, attention unwavering. Master, "Stop," the monk cries, reaching forward in alarm. "Why would you do that?" Kyogen withdraws his hand at last, the skin darkened and blistering. His voice is even. "I burned my fingers to answer your questions." The monk stares, stunned into silence. When understanding demands this much, Kyogen continues. "Yeti, Jep, how many questions can you still afford to carry?" The words strike deeper than any lecture. The monk sees that his endless questioning has been a way to delay true surrender. Thinking circles around the gate, but never steps through. Realization asks for everything, not just clever inquiry. His urgent doubts lose their grip in the face of this simple, wordless teaching. He bows low, forehead touching the ground, then rises and leaves without another request for explanation. No answers have been given, no doctrines clarified, yet something more fundamental has shifted. The questions that once seemed so solid now appear like mist dissolving in morning light. Understanding is not gathered piece by piece, like information stored on a shelf. It appears when the one who is trying to gather falls away. Effort carries a seeker to the top of the pole. Letting go reveals there was never any height to climb. As you rest, notice how the body lies supported without needing to understand how support happens. Breath enters and leaves without consulting the thinking mind. The heart beats through the night without instruction. Much of life unfolds this way when not interfered with by constant grasping. Clarity is often present before it is recognized. Peace waits beneath the effort to manufacture it. The old woman on the dusty road, the monk on the ocean ship, the seeker in the snowy monastery, all faced the same turning. The moment when familiar strategies fail, the moment when control loosens, the moment when something deeper is allowed to reveal itself. No dramatic fireworks are required. A question honestly asked, a criticism received without defense, a single sound of stone on bamboo, a willingness to release what cannot be forced. Your own mind drifts now like snow falling through still air. Thoughts appear, then fade. Sensations soften at the edges. The need to solve, to fix, to figure out can rest for a while. Nothing is missing in this quiet moment. Nothing extra needs to be added. Breath moves. Body rests, awareness open and untroubled, like a wide winter sky with no effort to hold or push away the clouds that pass across it. Sleep approaches the way understanding does naturally, when grasping loosens and the night is allowed to be exactly as it is. Morning mist drifts low across the monastery grounds, softening the outlines of trees and stone paths. The world appears unfinished, as if still emerging from a dream. A wooden bell sounds in the distance hollow, gentle, unhurried. Its tone rolls through the air and fades without resistance. Monks step from their quarters, robes gathered against the chill. No one rushes, no one lingers. Feet meet the earth with quiet awareness, each step complete in itself. Kyogen walks among them now as an old man, movements spare and economical. Years have thinned his body, but clarified his presence. He pauses beside a basin where rainwater has collected. Fallen leaves rest on the surface, some floating, some half submerged. A novice hurries past, nearly colliding with him. "Forgive me, Master," The young monk says, bowing quickly. I was lost in thought. Kyogen looks into the basin instead of at the monk. Were the leaves lost in the water? He asks softly. Or is the water simply holding them for a while? The novice blinks, unsure how to answer. Thoughts are like this. Kyogen continues. Yeti, Jep. They land. They float. They sink. The mind that tries to push them away only stirs the water. The novice bows again, more slowly this time. Something in his shoulders loosens. He walks on, steps quieter than before. Clouds thin as the sun rises, light touching the upper branches first, then sliding downward across trunks and stones. The monastery comes fully into view, nothing hidden, nothing emphasized. It's just walls, roofs, worn thresholds shaped by countless crossings. Practice here is not dramatic. No one speaks of enlightenment as an achievement to display. Wood is chopped, rice is rinsed, floors are swept. In each task, the same invitation to meet this moment without adding extra weight. A monk carrying firewood stumbles, dropping several logs. The sharp clatter echoes in the courtyard. He freezes, embarrassed. Others glance over. Kyogen, passing nearby, bends with him and picks up a piece of wood. The ground is patient, he says. It does not mind being touched twice. The monk exhales, tension dissolving into a small smile. They finish gathering the logs together. Nothing more is said. Years earlier, Kyogen would have searched for meaning in every event, turning each mistake into a problem to analyze. Now experience moves through him like wind through open windows, felt, fully, held by nothing. In the meditation hall, monks take their seats. Legs fold. Spines rise naturally, not stiff, not slack. Breath settles into its own rhythm. Outside, a bird calls once, then again. The sound enters the hall, touches awareness, disappears. No one tries to hold it, no one tries to stop it. This is how understanding lives, when it is no longer an object of pursuit, not as a conclusion, not as a possession, but as an ease with the changing flow of things. Thoughts still appear, emotions still visit. The difference is simple and profound. Nothing is taken as solid enough to build a self around. Feel how this same possibility exists within you. Sensations shift in the body, warmth, coolness, subtle tingling. Breath rises, falls. A memory may drift through, faint as mist. It, too, moves on when not grasped. No need to force stillness. Stillness is what remains when struggle pauses. At midday, the monks gather for a simple meal. Bowls are lifted with both hands. Food is received without commentary. Chewing happens slowly, each bite a complete event. Hunger eases. Gratitude appears without being summoned. A visiting scholar once asked Kyogen, "What is the highest teaching of your school?" Kyogen pointed to his bowl. "When hungry, eat." The scholar frowned. "That is obvious." Kyogen nodded. "Yes." The scholar waited for elaboration that never came. Obvious truths often go unnoticed because the mind looks for complexity. Yet life unfolds through these plain gates, walking when walking, resting when resting, speaking when speaking, listening when listening. Suffering grows when we argue with the simplicity of what is already here. Afternoon light warms the courtyard stones. A breeze lifts prayer flags along the far wall, fabric snapping softly before settling again. Shadows lengthen, then merge. Kyaujin sits alone beneath a pine tree, watching needles sway against the sky. He does not call this meditation. He does not call it anything. Seeing happens. Breathing happens. Time moves without needing to be measured. A memory surfaces his younger self straining over scriptures, desperate to grasp what could not be contained in words. He smiles gently at that former effort, not with regret, not with pride. Effort was part of the path. So was exhaustion. So was the moment of letting go. Everything belongs. Nothing needs to be erased. Evening returns in gradual layers. Work ends. Lamps glow behind paper windows. Crickets begin their steady song, a rhythm older than any teaching. The monastery settles into quiet once more. Some monks sit in meditation. Others lie down, robes folded neatly beside them. Sleep comes to each in its own time. Above the rooftops, stars emerge one by one, unconcerned with who notices. Cool night air moves through open corridors, touching skin, entering lungs, leaving again. Your own body rests now in this same vastness. Muscles loosen their final holding. The face softens. The tongue rests easily in the mouth. Breath flows like a tide that does not need to be directed. Nothing to solve. Nothing to become. The day releases itself, just as the monks release theirs. Just as Kyaujin releases even the idea of understanding. Awareness remains open, simple, untroubled like the night sky holding moon, stars, drifting clouds, and the wide dark spaces between them without preference. In this quiet, sleep arrives naturally, not as an escape, but as a gentle continuation of the same letting go. This story slices cleanly through the comfortable way we often approach spiritual life. It is easy to treat wisdom like something displayed on a shelf, moving from teaching to teaching, gathering phrases and perspectives, hoping the right idea will click into place while our lives remain largely untouched. Kyaujin's burned fingers point to something far less convenient. Real understanding is not bought with clever questions. It asks for the whole of us. The sound of stones striking bamboo that opened his realization was not rare or mystical. That sound had echoed through the monastery countless times before. What changed was not the world, but his readiness to hear. That readiness did not grow from collecting more concepts. It matured when every concept had been tried and found insufficient, when he reached the edge of what thinking could do and stood with empty hands. Only after exhausting every strategy of mind, after climbing as high as effort could carry him and finding no solid ground there, did letting go stop being a poetic notion and become the only honest step left. In your own life, you can sense where understanding is treated as something to possess rather than a way of being to live. Look closely at the questions that drive you. Do they open you toward direct experience, or do they circle endlessly, keeping you safely in thought, Like Kyajin before his awakening, we often assume that one more book, one more explanation, one more refined system will finally settle our deepest unease. Yet what is truly required may be a willingness to release the very framework through which we keep trying to secure ourselves. The image of burning fingers reminds us that wisdom often slips in through the side door of total presence, especially in moments we would normally resist. This does not mean pain is noble in itself. It means our constant maneuvering to avoid discomfort can trap us inside the narrow view we long to outgrow. When we remain present, even as familiar supports fall away, what is left is not a final answer, but a different relationship to the whole movement of questioning. The sense of a separate knower chasing something to be known begins to loosen, revealing a simplicity that was here before the chase began. Feel now how your body rests, heavier against the surface beneath you. Breath moves in a slow, natural rhythm. Nothing needs to be forced. Awareness can soften its grip. Imagine drifting across time and sea, arriving in old Kyoto under a wide evening sky. Lantern light glows along quiet streets. The air carries the faint sweetness of blossoms mixed with wood smoke. Somewhere, a flute line rises and falls like a distant memory. Ahead stands an elegant residence where servants move quickly, preparing for an important gathering. Inside, a prosperous silk merchant checks every detail, smoothing his robes, adjusting decorations. EAT checks, giving last-minute instructions. He has arranged an elaborate dinner and invited a renowned Zen master, hoping the visit will elevate his standing among the city's elite. Guests arrive in layers of silk, each greeting shaped by precise etiquette. Conversations weave through the room, alliances, opportunities, rivalries disguised as compliments. Laughter sounds, measured and careful. Beneath the polish runs a quiet current of comparison and concern. Then a figure appears at the entrance, hair untamed, robes plain and worn, a simple wooden bowl in hand. His eyes seem to look through surfaces rather than at them. This is ECU, known as much for unpredictability as for insight. The merchant hurries forward, bowing deeply, words of welcome spilling out. The word humble catches awkwardly in his throat amid the obvious luxury. ECU nods and follows him in without comment. A subtle hush passes through the room. Curiosity replaces rehearsed conversation. The monk sits where he is shown, cross-legged, at ease. Dishes arrive one after another, arranged with exquisite care. ICU eats simply, neither praising nor criticizing. His quiet unsettles the host more than disapproval would have. Cups of sake are refilled. Voices grow louder, then thinner. A tension builds that no one names. At last ECU rises. The movement alone gathers every eye. Honored host, he says with a small bow, may I trouble you for a cup of water from your well? Confusion flickers across the merchant's face. Water, when the finest drinks are flowing. He recovers quickly and offers to have a servant bring some. I would prefer to draw it myself. ECU replies gently, please show me the well. Curiosity draws several guests into the garden. Cool night air replaces the warmth of the crowded hall. Above them hangs a full moon, bright and undivided. Pines cast soft shadows over moss and stone lanterns. In one corner stands a simple well. Its stone rim is worn smooth by years of use. The group gathers around as Iacu lowers a bucket. Far below, the dark water holds a perfect reflection of the moon, whole within the narrow opening. The pulley creaks softly. When the bucket touches the water, the reflection trembles and breaks into ripples. Iacu pauses. "What do you see?" he asks. "The moon in the water," someone answers. "Yes," Iacu says, "the moon travels the vast sky, yet its reflection rests easily in this small well. The water reflects it no differently than a great lake would. The moon shows no preference." He draws up the bucket and drinks. In the quiet, the simple sound of swallowing seems unusually clear. "Delicious," he says, "more refreshing than any fine drink. This water quenches thirst without asking who you are. It gives itself completely." He hands the bucket to the merchant, moonlight wavering on the surface. "Your hospitality has been generous," Iacu continues. "But consider whether it is like this water, offered freely, or like a transaction, given with the hope of return." A ripple of discomfort passes through the group. One guest starts to object, but Esia's calm presence softens the edge of confrontation. "I offer no blame," he says. "Only an invitation to look. The sun, the rain, the air, these are given to all beings without distinction. True generosity. Yet, like true wisdom, makes no calculations." Something in the merchant's face changes. The tightness of performance loosens. A real laugh escapes him, surprising even himself. "You are right," he says. "I invited you to impress others, not to be shown myself. I have been giving like a merchant, always counting." They return to the hall, yet the atmosphere has shifted. Conversations deepen. Masks thinning. The merchant moves among his guests with a new ease, less concerned with image, more open to simple human connection. Iacu, who arrived with almost nothing, becomes the quiet center of the evening. Later, as guests depart under the moonlight, the merchant bows deeply. "You gave me the greatest gift," he says. Iacu smiles. "I only pointed to the well that was already here. As you rest, consider the wells in your own life, those plain sources of clarity and nourishment, so easily overlooked while chasing more elaborate satisfactions. Notice where giving may still carry a subtle hope for recognition, and where it might begin to flow more freely, like water that reflects the moon without effort. Let your awareness drift gently onward, as if carried by a quiet current through time and landscape. The moon remains high, silver and watchful, as the scene shifts to a small monastery tucked against forested hills in old China. Stone paths wind between modest wooden halls. Pine branches whisper overhead, and the faint fragrance of incense lingers in the cool night air. Crickets weave a soft, continuous song beneath everything. In this stillness, a young nun walks alone. Her name is Shano. While the others have already retired, she moves slowly toward the well at the edge of the temple grounds, a wooden bucket swinging lightly from her hand. Moonlight slips between the trees, touching her face now and then, revealing an expression shaped by long effort, sincere, disciplined, and quietly tired. For years she has practiced with unwavering dedication. She has studied the teachings, memorized verses, yet followed instructions with care, yet the deep breakthrough her heart longs for has not arrived. Insight remains something she understands in theory but could not fully taste. Tonight, like many nights before, she has chosen to bring mindfulness into an ordinary task. Perhaps, she thinks, clarity hides in simple actions overlooked by a striving mind. The well's stone rim gleams pale in the moonlight. When she peers down, she sees the moon resting in the dark water below, perfectly round, perfectly still, so distant in the sky, yet right here at her feet. She pauses. How strange, she reflects. Wind, that something so far away can appear so immediate. The moon has not descended, yet it seems to live inside this quiet circle of water. She lowers the bucket. The rope slides through her fingers, rough and familiar. The bucket touches the surface with a soft splash, and the moon shivers into fragments of light. She waits for the ripples to settle, then begins to pull. The weight of water answers her effort. Hand over hand, she draws the bucket up. As it reaches the rim, she notices a thin crack along the wooden base. A dark line, easy to miss, but already a few drops are slipping through. She exhales, shifts the bucket onto her shoulder, and turns back toward the kitchen. If she walks steadily, perhaps she will not lose too much. Cool water seeps through the crack, trailing down her arm. Each step becomes careful, deliberate. Her whole world narrows to balance, to the feel of wood against skin, to the rhythm of her breathing. No grand philosophy, no abstract problem, just this fragile container and the water it holds. Halfway along the path, it happens. With a dull, sudden sound, the weakened bottom gives way. In a single instant, the bucket empties. Water rushes down her robes, splashes across the stones, scatters into the dust and moss at her feet. The bucket, now weightless, hangs useless in her hand. For a heartbeat she stands frozen in surprise. Then something opens. Moonlight catches in the spreading puddles. Everywhere she looks, tiny reflections shimmer broken, scattered, yet each one complete. The moon she saw in the well is no longer confined to a single dark circle. It appears in every droplet, every thin stream running between the stones. The water is gone from the bucket, yet the moon has not been lost. In that simple, unguarded moment, understanding breaks through like dawn. All the years of effort, all the striving to hold realization, suddenly appear like trying to carry the moon in a wooden pail. The moon was never in the water. The water never truly held it. Nothing was ever missing. A sound escapes her, not quite laughter, not quite a sob. The empty bucket slips from her fingers and rolls aside, forgotten. She stands soaked under the open sky, heart wide, mind clear, as if something that had been tightly clenched has finally, mercifully released. Laity. What she sought was never contained in the forms she tried to preserve. When the container broke, nothing essential was destroyed. Instead, what had seemed singular and distant revealed itself as boundless and always present. Later, when others ask what happened, Shino does not offer a long explanation. She simply shares a few lines. She had tried to keep the water from leaking, mending the bucket again and again. At last, the bottom fell out. No more water in the bucket. No more moon in the water. Those who hear her words recognize the quiet depth behind them. Her story passes from one generation to another, not as a tale of dramatic effort, but as a reminder of how release can reveal what striving cannot. As you rest now, let this image settle softly in your mind. The broken bucket, the spilled water, the moon shining everywhere at once. How often do we try to secure peace, clarity, or meaning inside carefully maintained structures, roles, beliefs, achievements, identities? We patch the cracks, reinforce the sides, hoping at last to hold something that was never meant to be possessed. Yet when life breaks the container, when plans fail, when certainty drains away, when what we relied on no longer holds, we may discover that what truly matters has not disappeared. It was never confined there to begin with. Like the moon in the water, awareness reflects through every experience. It is not owned by success or destroyed by loss. When the surface is still, it is seen clearly. When the surface is disturbed, it has not gone anywhere. Feel your body now, heavy and supported. Breath moves on its own. Nothing to hold together, nothing to push away. Thoughts may come and go like ripples across water. Let them move. Beneath them, something simple remains open, ungrasping, already complete. Mon. As you drift towards sleep, allow the broken bucket to be a gentle friend, a reminder that letting go is not the end of anything real. Sometimes it is the moment when the moonlight, no longer confined, is finally seen everywhere. The night remains vast and unhurried. Moonlight rests on tiled roofs, on quiet trees, on the worn stones that have known the footsteps of countless seekers. Nothing in the landscape strains to become enlightened. Pine needles breathe in the cool air. Crickets sing because it is their nature to sing. Awareness, too, has its own nature. When Shino's bucket fell apart, nothing new was added to the world. No hidden treasure descended from the sky. No secret doctrine whispered itself into her ear. Something false simply dropped away the belief that what she sought could be captured, stored, and carried by effort alone. In the same way, the old woman's criticism on the dusty road, the sharp challenge offered to a serene teacher, revealed a fire hidden in rough words when not grasped defensively. Even harshness became warmth instead of harm. A gift refused returned to the giver, leaving the receiver unburdened. The monk in the snowy monastery climbed with all his strength up the pole of knowledge and discipline. Only when there was nowhere left to stand did letting go cease to be a poetic idea and become a lived necessity. A single sound in a bamboo grove opened what years of thinking could not. Different places, different lives. One quiet turning. Each story points to the same gentle fact. Reality does not hide from us. It is our clinging, our insistence that it appear in a particular form, that makes it seem distant. Notice how the body already knows how to rest when not commanded to perform. Muscles soften when the signal to hold dissolves. Breath deepens when it is not being managed. The heart continues its steady rhythm without asking for praise. This simple functioning is not separate from what sages call wisdom. It is wisdom before it is divided into concepts. We often imagine awakening as an extraordinary state, far removed from ordinary life. Yet again and again, insight appears in the middle of common moments. A bundle of firewood on a roadside, snow falling in a temple courtyard, water spilling onto a stone path. Nothing exotic is required, only a mind willing, even briefly, to stop arguing with what is already here. Feel how sounds come and go in your environment, perhaps a distant vehicle, a whisper of wind, the faint hum of electricity in the walls. None of these ask for your approval. None linger when they are finished. Awareness receives them without effort. Thoughts move the same way. A memory rises. A plan forms. A stray image flickers and fades. When not grasped, each leaves no trace, like a bird crossing the sky without leaving footprints. Difficulty begins when we try to build a nest out of passing clouds. The merchant in Kyoto believed generosity was something to display, something that could purchase admiration. A simple cup of well water under the open moon showed him a different measure, giving, that asks for nothing back. Like light falling equally on palaces and huts. When the need for return loosened, warmth entered the gathering. Conversation lost its sharp edges. People met one another without so much armor. In your own life, how often does tension arise from subtle accounting, a kindness offered with the hope of recognition, an effort made with the quiet demand to be seen as worthy, a conversation shaped more by self-protection than by curiosity? These movements are deeply human. They do not need condemnation, only gentle noticing. When seen clearly, they begin to relax on their own, like a fist that realizes it has been clenching empty air. The nun did not break her bucket on purpose. The monk did not plan the stone that struck bamboo. The old woman did not intend to become a teacher. Life unfolded. There, and in an unguarded instant, resistance softened. Yes, you do not have to shatter anything dramatically tonight. No heroic gesture is required. Simply resting without trying to turn this moment into something else is already a quiet revolution. Feel the weight of your body supported by the surface beneath you. There is nothing you must hold up. The earth does that effortlessly. Your jaw can loosen. Your tongue can rest. Eyes closed. There is no performance to maintain. Breath enters. Breath leaves. Each exhale a small letting go that happens whether you think about it or not. Awareness remains. Open and simple, like the moon shining, regardless of whether it is reflected in a well, a lake, a puddle, or not seen at all behind clouds. Even sleep is a kind of trust, a willingness to release control and allow life to continue without supervision. The mind that insists on managing everything cannot cross that threshold easily. The mind that softens, that allows the bucket to be empty, slips naturally into rest. Nothing essential is lost in that surrender. Morning comes. Breath continues. the world turns. For now, let stories fade like ripples settling on dark water. No need to remember every detail. What matters is quieter than memory, a sense of ease, of not having to grasp so tightly. If a thought arises, let it be like moonlight on moving water, present, shifting, unable to be held. If a feeling passes through, warm or cool, pleasant or restless, let it move the way wind moves through pine branches, making sound without leaving a mark. Beneath all movement, a stillness does not come or go, not something to achieve, not something that can break. Rest there, without trying to name it. The night is wide. The moon travels its silent path. Somewhere water reflects it. Somewhere clouds conceal it. The moon is unchanged. Awareness, too, remains untouched by the shapes passing through it. Let go a little more. Nothing to carry. Nothing to defend. Nothing missing. Just this quiet breathing, this gentle drifting, this simple being, already complete as it is. Let this quiet teaching settle like mist over still water. In the mountain monastery, work and meditation were never two separate paths. The old master's refusal to eat without labor was not stubbornness, not pride, but alignment with something simple and natural. To be alive is to participate. To receive is to give. Breath itself demonstrates this truth, taking in, offering out, a rhythm so constant we rarely pause to notice its quiet generosity. His students believed they were protecting him. Their concern was sincere, their intention kind. Yet hidden inside their kindness was an assumption that dignity fades with age, that contribution belongs only to the strong. By removing his tools, they unknowingly tried to remove his place in the living circle of effort and nourishment. He answered without anger. No lecture, no correction, just a life lived so clearly that the teaching revealed itself. I did not work today, therefore I do not eat today. Cause and effect expressed without drama. The students' understanding ripened not from explanation, but from seeing their own interference reflected back at them. Feel how different this is from the way the mind often treats effort. We swing between extremes, driving ourselves harshly or collapsing into avoidance. The master's example points somewhere quieter. Do what you can. Offer what is yours to offer. Let the exchange between self and world remain balanced, like water flowing in and out of a tide pool with the turning of the sea. There is relief in this simplicity. No need to prove worth. No need to withdraw from life. Just participation. It's moment by moment. Hands in the soil. Feet on the path. Breath moving in the chest. This, too, is awakening in motion. Now the scene shifts again, as softly as a page turning in a dream. Morning mist lifts from a secluded temple where another teacher lives in near solitude. Bamboo leans and whispers around the wooden buildings. A narrow trail connects this place to the distant village, though few make the climb. The master here is known for unusual ways, for a presence that feels both ordinary and impossibly clear. Inside the quiet hall, floorboards murmur beneath bare feet, a kettle sighs. Tea is poured with steady hands. every gesture complete, needing no audience. After drinking, the master sits upright on a worn cushion as pale light enters through paper screens. Silence fills the room. Then, suddenly, a firm voice cuts through the stillness. "Master." The word lands in the empty air. A pause. "Yes." The reply comes in the same voice, yet with the tone of immediate response. Again, a command arises. "Stay awake." "Yes." "Do not be deceived." "Yes." "Yes." To an outside observer, this might seem like madness, a man talking to himself in an empty temple. Yet nothing in his face suggests confusion. His gaze is steady, his breath even. This dialogue is not fragmentation, but integration. Not delusion, but clarity made audible. Day after day, he calls and answers. No performance. No witnesses required. The exchange rises from silence and dissolves back into it, like a bell struck once in a valley and then allowed to fade completely. A young monk staying nearby once overheard this ritual through thin walls. At first puzzled, then deeply moved, he sensed that something essential was being revealed without explanation. When he later thanked the master, saying he had learned more from this example than from many teachings, the reply was simple. The true master is always present, not a person, not an external authority, something closer than breath, quieter than thought. Right now, as experience unfolds, there is the part of mind engaged with sensations, the weight of the body, the flow of images, the fading echo of these words. There is also an aspect that knows this is happening, a silent noticing that does not strain, does not comment, does not interfere. Usually, attention clings to the stream of thoughts, feelings, reactions. We say, "I am tired. I am restless. I am peaceful." Identity wraps itself around passing weather. Clouds are mistaken for the sky. The master's strange morning dialogue shines light on the second aspect, the one who can call out master and also answer. The witnessing presence that is never confused, even when the thinking mind is tangled. By addressing it directly, he strengthens recognition. By responding, he confirms it is not distant or theoretical. Stay awake, a reminder not to drift entirely into the dream of thoughts. Do not be deceived, an encouragement to see passing moods and stories for what they are, movements within awareness, not the whole of what we are. This is not a battle against the mind. Thoughts continue. Emotions continue. Life continues with all its textures. The difference lies in where identity rests, entangled in every ripple, or relaxed as the open water in which ripples appear. Feel this for yourself, gently. A sound arises. It is known. A sensation shifts in the body. It is known. A thought flickers through about today, about tomorrow, about nothing in particular. It too is known. The knowing itself does not strain, it does not age, it does not become more or less worthy depending on success or failure. Like the moon, it reflects in whatever water is present: calm lake, muddy puddle, cracked well bucket. Nothing special needs to occur for this to be true. No dramatic insight required. just a soft turning of attention toward what has always been here, quietly aware. Breath moves, body rests, awareness remains. No need to hold the experience in place, no need to push it away. The practice is as intimate and immediate as the master calling to himself in an empty room, as ordinary as an old man lifting a garden tool, as accidental as a bucket breaking under moonlight. Everything included, nothing extra needed. This moment, just as it is, already complete. Beds. In this simple ritual, the boundary between teacher and student dissolves into direct experience. The voice that calls and the voice that answers arise from the same source, like two echoes in a valley that was never divided. What appears as dialogue is really a refinement of attention, awareness turning gently back upon itself, recognizing its own clarity. As you rest here, notice how many voices seem to move within your own mind. A thought comments on another thought. A feeling responds to a memory. One part of you wants to relax while another insists on staying alert. This inner multiplicity can feel confusing, even exhausting. When it operates without awareness, yet when seen clearly, it becomes a doorway rather than a problem. Zuigen's morning call was not an argument with himself, not a sign of fragmentation, but an expression of intimacy with his own mind. He was acknowledging the ever-present witness, the quiet knowing that remains unchanged while moods, sensations, and stories rise and fall like weather across the sky. By saying Master, he pointed to that stable, awake presence. By answering yes, he affirmed that it was already here. Feel into that possibility now, beneath the shifting sensations of your body, beneath the drifting images behind closed eyes. There is a simple sense of being. It does not strain. It does not try to become anything. It is just the quiet fact of awareness itself, open and allowing, like a vast night sky holding the moon and all the passing clouds. Thoughts may still move through, planning, remembering, imagining. Emotions may ripple gently, traces of the day not yet fully settled. None of this disturbs the open space in which it happens. Like sounds in a distant valley, experiences come and go without leaving a mark on the listening silence. Zuigen reminded himself each morning not to be deceived, not to be fooled by appearances, by the convincing drama of passing mental states. We too are often captivated by what arises in the mind, believing each thought to be a solid truth, each emotion to be a final definition of who we are. In this trance, we shrink from the vastness of awareness into a small, restless character at the center of every story. Gently, without force, you can step back, not by pushing thoughts away, not by suppressing feeling, but by noticing that you are the one aware of them. The moment you recognize a thought as a thought, a little space opens. The moment you feel an emotion as a movement of energy in the body, you are no longer completely inside it. Awareness stands free, even while experience continues. This freedom is quiet. It does not announce itself with fireworks or dramatic visions. It feels ordinary, almost too simple to notice. Just this clear knowing of what is happening, moment by moment. Breath moving in, breath moving out. the weight of your body supported, sounds fading in and out of attention, awareness remains. Unchanged by the content it holds. In the stillness of his temple, Zuigan cultivated this recognition until it infused every action. When he swept the floor, there was just sweeping, fully known. When he drank tea, there was just warmth, taste, swallowing, all appearing in the field of awareness. No extra commentator was needed, no story about how well or poorly things were going. Life unfolding, clearly seen. You do not need a mountain temple to touch this clarity. Right here, lying in the dark, you can sense the same open presence. The mind may slow as sleep approaches, thoughts becoming softer and more dreamlike. Even this transition is simply another movement within awareness. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep all pass through the same vastness that you are. There can be a gentle trust in this. You do not have to manage every breath or control every thought. The body knows how to rest, the mind knows how to settle when not constantly stirred. Awareness does not need improvement. It is already whole, already at peace, even when the surface of experience is busy. Imagine Zuigan's voice one last time in the quiet of early morning. Stay awake, he says, not as a demand to resist sleep, but as an invitation to remain present, to remember what you truly are beneath the layers of habit and distraction. Do not be deceived, he adds, pointing to the tendency to mistake passing forms for lasting identity. You can hold these words lightly, like a feather resting on the palm. No need to repeat them, no need to analyze. Just a soft orientation toward clarity, toward the simple fact of being aware. As the edges of the day dissolve and you drift closer to sleep, awareness does not disappear. It becomes subtle, spacious, unburdened by the sharp outlines of waking thought. Let the body grow heavy, sinking comfortably into support. Let the breath find its own slow rhythm. Sensations blur, sounds recede. Images flicker and fade. Through it all, there is a quiet continuity, a gentle presence that does not come or go. Rest there, without effort, without trying to hold on to anything at all. Awareness remains like a dim lantern in a vast field, not bright or dramatic, simply steady. Even as dreams begin to form, fragments of memory and imagination weaving their soft illusions, this quiet knowing is never truly lost. It does not need to push into the foreground to exist. Like the moon behind drifting clouds, its presence is constant whether seen clearly or veiled. You may notice how the sense of me starts to loosen as you drift. The firm boundaries of the day soften, the roles you played, the decisions you made, the conversations you had begin to feel distant, like footprints at the edge of a tide slowly washing in. Nothing is being taken from you. Nothing essential is fading. Only the tight grip of identification relaxes. This loosening is not a mistake. It is a return. All day long, the mind gathers impressions and builds a story of self from them. At night, that structure gently dissolves, giving you rest from the effort of maintaining it. In deep sleep, there is no name, no history, no problem to solve. Yet you do not feel diminished by this absence. On the contrary, you wake restored. Zen points to this natural rhythm as a teacher. Each night, without trying, you release the world and yourself. Each morning, the sense of self reassembles, fresh and new. Seeing this clearly, you begin to understand that what you are cannot be limited to the temporary arrangement of thoughts and memories you call me. There is something more fundamental, present in both waking and sleeping, in clarity and in confusion. Rest now as if you trust this process completely, the body breathing itself, the heart beating without instruction, the mind unwinding in its own time. No need to supervise, no need to hold anything together. The same awareness that noticed the day is here to cradle the night. Imagine lying beneath a wide, open sky. There are no walls, no Arabic scene, Aral, Arabif. I-L-I-N-G. Only space stretching in all directions. Stars appear and disappear as clouds pass, yet the sky itself is untouched. Your thoughts are like those stars, brief points of light in a vastness that cannot be measured. Your emotions are like weather, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy, never permanent. Clear. You are not required to stop the weather. You are the sky that allows it. Feel how this understanding eases something deep inside. The effort to control every experience can finally soften. Sensations in the body can be just sensations, not problems. Thoughts can be just movements of mind, not commands. Even the feeling of drifting, of losing the sharpness of waking awareness, can be welcomed as another natural change. Somewhere in the distance of your imagination, a temple bell sounds once, low and resonant. The sound spreads through the night air, then fades back into silence. Notice how the silence was there before the bell, during the sound, and after it ends. In the same way, awareness is present before a thought arises, during its brief life, and after it disappears. Nothing needs to be held. Nothing needs to be pushed away. If a lingering worry tries to pull you back into the stories of tomorrow, you can meet it gently, not by arguing or solving, but by feeling where it touches the body. Perhaps a tightness in the chest, a subtle clenching in the belly. Let your attention rest there softly, like a warm hand placed with care. Often, when felt without resistance, these knots begin to loosen on their own. Breath flows in, cool and quiet. Breath flows out, warm and slow. Each exhale is a small letting go, a surrender into support. The bed beneath you holds your weight without complaint. The night holds your body. Awareness holds every experience, pleasant or unpleasant, without strain. This is the same field of presence the old masters discovered sitting in silent halls, walking forest paths, or working in monastery gardens. Not something exotic or far away, but the simple capacity to know what is happening, here and now, when nothing is added to it. When no extra story is layered on top, it feels like peace. Sleep approaches not as an enemy of awareness, but as a different expression of it. The sharp edges of perception blur. Time loses its usual meaning. You drift like a leaf on a slow river, carried without effort. There is a quiet confidence in this drifting, a sense that you are held by something larger than personal will. Let yourself be carried. No need to mark the moment you fall asleep. No need to witness every transition. Trust that awareness does not vanish when the mind grows still. It remains, open and boundless, whether filled with dreams or resting in deep, formless quiet. Soften the muscles of the face. Let the tongue rest easily. Feel the eyes settle back into their sockets, no longer trying to see. Shoulders melt downward. Hands unclench. There. The whole body, like warm sand settling after a wave has passed over it. Nothing more to do, nowhere else to go. Just this gentle dissolving into the vast, kind darkness. There, where awareness and rest are not two separate things, but one seamless, peaceful whole. Non-dependence of mind points to a freedom many people rarely taste. Inner balance usually swings with praise and blame, success and disappointment, comfort and discomfort. A kind word lifts the heart, a harsh one sinks it. Plans unfolding bring ease, plans unraveling bring tension. Life feels like a small boat rising and falling on restless waves, direction determined by shifting winds. There is another way of being, a mind that knows its own steady clarity, even while experience keeps changing. Nothing is denied, nothing pushed away. Sounds are heard, sensations felt, emotions allowed. At the same time, something deeper remains untouched, like the depth of the ocean unmoved by surface storms. The master addressed in solitary practice is not an outside authority laying down rules. It is the original nature of awareness itself, present before any role, any success, any failure. Recognizing this directly reveals a ground of being that does not rely on conditions lining up in a particular way. This speaks strongly to modern life. Messages constantly tell you who to become, what to desire, how to measure worth. Endless comparison pulls attention outward. Approval feels like oxygen, disapproval like suffocation. Gradually, these outer voices begin to sound like your own thoughts, driving effort, worry, and never-ending self-evaluation. A different orientation becomes possible. The real guide is not found in shifting opinions or cultural standards, but in the quiet knowing already here. The wisdom being searched for has never been absent. Freedom grows not from controlling the world, but from discovering what within you was never confined by it. Imagine sitting in soft morning light, simple walls around you, air cool and still. You call inward, not with words spoken aloud, but with sincere attention, a turning toward the deepest sense of being. The response is immediate, not as a voice, but as a felt recognition, awareness aware of itself. Nothing extra is required. No need to become a special kind of person. No requirement for perfect circumstances. Just honest noticing of what is present, breathing happening. Sensations. Shifting. Thoughts appearing and fading. The awareness that knows all this does not strain. It does not come and go with each mental movement. In daily life, this might appear as a pause in the middle of stress, a moment of curiosity. What is aware of this pressure, this racing thought, this tightness in the chest? Attention gently turns from the story to the knowing of the story. Space opens. even if the situation itself has not yet changed. Reminders arise like soft bells. Stay awake. Do not be fooled. Not harsh commands. Not criticism. Simply invitations to remember a wider view. Emotions still move. Conversations still happen. Responsibilities remain. Assured. The difference lies in not being completely lost inside each passing state. This independence does not create distance from others, it allows a more genuine connection. When identity is not built from constant approval seeking, listening becomes easier. Kindness flows more naturally. Actions come from clarity instead of fear of rejection or hunger for praise. Alone time no longer feels like lack. Activity no longer feels like burden. There is room to be with what is, just as it is. Thoughts slow as rest approaches, yet awareness does not vanish. The body grows heavy, breath deepens, mind softens. Through all these changes, knowing remains. This presence is not born when noticed, not destroyed when forgotten. It is the quiet background of every experience, as available in this breath as in any moment of insight. Non-dependence of mind becomes real, not as a philosophy, but as a lived sense of inner stability. You contain both the question and the answer, both the one seeking and what is sought. As consciousness drifts toward dreams, this completeness does not fracture. Identity may blur, images may swirl, logic may dissolve. Awareness holds it all without effort. Breathing slows. Muscles loosen. The day releases its grip. Now the scene shifts to another temple, one where understanding is tested in a different way. Rain taps steadily on tiled roofs, a soft percussion filling the air. Water gathers and spills in clear threads to stones below, tracing brief shining paths that vanish as quickly as they form. Light filters through paper screens, edges of objects gently blurred. In this muted afternoon, a young scholar arrives, eager and confident. Years of study sit proudly in his posture. Words about reality, mind, and emptiness line up neatly in his thoughts, polished and ready to present. Across from him sits an older teacher, face calm, eyes bright without strain. No sign of agreement, no sign of resistance. Tea steams between them, while rain continues its patient rhythm. The young visitor speaks with assurance. Mind, Buddha, beings none truly exist, he declares. All phenomena are empty. No ignorance, no wisdom, nothing gained, nothing lost. His understanding echoes revered teachings, flawless in form. Stillness meets his certainty. A small smile flickers on the teacher's face, not mocking, simply aware. Without warning, a bamboo pipe lifts and lands sharply on the student's shoulder. Shock erupts. Pain flashes. Heat rises in the chest. "Why did you hit me?" he demands, composure shattered. There, philosophy forgotten in an instant. A simple question comes in reply, clear and direct. If nothing exists, where did this anger come from? Silence deepens. Rain grows louder in the pause. The student meets something raw and immediate. Not an idea, but a living surge of experience. Anger. Undeniable. Body trembling slightly. Breath unsteady. Concepts about emptiness offer no shelter here. The emotion is real in this moment, vivid and embodied. The belief in nothing exists reveals itself as another thought, another position held by the very mind tries to dismiss. Understanding shifts. Eatusils, not the glow of intellectual victory, but the humility of seeing the gap between words and life. A bow follows, deeper than courtesy. Tea is poured again. Lesson complete without further explanation. Emptiness is not a denial of experience. Pain still hurts. Joy still warms. Emotions rise dependent on countless conditions. Linger briefly, then dissolve. Seeing this clearly loosens the grip of clinging without pretending life is unreal. Notice where ideas about spirituality become possessions, carefully stored and defended, knowing impermanence in theory while resisting change in practice, speaking of non-attachment while grieving every loss as if something solid has been torn away. These tensions are invitations. When strong feelings appear, they can be met directly. From where does this fear arise? From where does this happiness bloom? Questions asked not for analysis, but for intimate observation. Attention rests on immediate experience, weight of the body, movement of breath, subtle tingling, fading sounds. Neither solid nor non-existent, simply arising and passing, direct, alive, unfiltered. Wisdom grows here, not in collecting elegant views, but in meeting each moment as it is. Sleep draws nearer, edges of awareness softening. Let questions remain open, like windows in a quiet room, allowing fresh night air to move through. Thoughts slow into softer shapes, less like firm sentences and more like drifting impressions. The body settles further, guided by a wisdom older than any teaching. In this quiet descent, the story continues, carrying you gently into another time, another place where understanding appears in an unexpected form. Night gives way to early dawn over an ancient capital. The wide avenue is already alive with movement. Silk banners stir in a cool breeze. Hooves strike packed earth in steady rhythm. The low murmur of a gathered crowd hums beneath ceremonial music that rises and falls like a tide. An imperial procession makes its way through the heart of the city. Armored guards ride in disciplined lines, lacquered plates catching pale morning light. Officials in layered robes walk with measured steps. Incense drifts through the air, mingling with the scents of dust, wood, and distant cooking fires just beginning to stir in common homes. At the center travels the emperor, enclosed within an ornate palanquin carved from fragrant wood. Its surface is touched with gold that glows softly rather than shines. From within, he observes the world through parted curtains, accustomed to seeing and being seen, yet separated from ordinary life by layers of rank and ritual. Crowds kneel as the procession passes, heads bow, eyes lower, voices hush into reverent stillness. For most, the emperor is a distant symbol, a figure of power and myth rather than a fellow human being sharing the same breath and sky. As the procession nears a narrow side street, something unusual happens. A small commotion ripples at the edge of the road. Guards shift, hands moving toward weapons, ready to push back whatever disturbance dares interrupt imperial order. There, half in the gutter, half on the stones, lies a man in ragged clothing. His hair is matted, his body thin, one sandal missing. He seems either ill, exhausted, or simply forgotten by the world moving around him. People nearby avoid looking directly at him, as if misfortune might be contagious. A captain signals for soldiers to remove the man quickly, to clear the path before the emperor's palanquin arrives. 2 guards step forward, faces tight with annoyance, spears angled as tools more than weapons. From inside the palanquin, a voice speaks, calm but unmistakably authoritative. Wait. The single word cuts through music, hoofbeats, and whispered speculation. The procession halts in a long, rippling pause. Curtains part wider. The emperor steps down, silk robes brushing the dusty road. Attendants startled but obedient. He walks not toward nobles or officials, but toward the man on the ground. Gasps move through the crowd like wind through tall grass. No one understands. This is not how such processions unfold. Emperors do not step into mud. They do not approach the unwashed and unknown. Yet he kneels. Up close, the man's breathing is shallow. His lips are cracked. A faint smell of sickness clings to him, sharp and sour. One eye opens weakly, unfocused, not even fully aware who kneels beside him. The emperor studies his face as if reading a text written in suffering and time. Lines of hardship, traces of hunger, the quiet resignation of someone long unseen. For a moment, the vast machinery of empire fades. There is only one human being meeting another. Bring water, the emperor says softly. An attendant rushes forward, hands trembling. Glay, offering a flask usually reserved for royal use. The emperor supports the man's head himself, lifting it with surprising gentleness, guiding a few drops past dry lips. Most spill down the man's chin, darkening the dust below. Still, the emperor does not recoil. Food, he says next. A small parcel of rice is brought. He breaks it into pieces, placing them slowly into the man's hand. Fingers twitch, then close weakly around the offering. The crowd watches in stunned silence. Some feel confusion, others discomfort. A few an unexpected stirring in the chest. The distance between high and low, powerful and powerless, wavers in the morning air. One minister leans close, voice low with concern. Your Majesty, this man is nothing. The procession must continue. It is not fitting. The emperor turns his gaze toward him, not angry, not stern, simply clear. Nothing, he repeats quietly. Then what am I? The question lands with the same force as a temple bell in still air. Rain once carved valleys and filled rivers long before titles existed. Breath moves in emperor and beggar alike. Hunger, pain, fear, and hope do not consult rank before entering a body. In this shared vulnerability, the illusion of separation thins. The emperor removes a small outer cloak, finely woven, warm. He places it over the man's shoulders. Gold thread rests against torn cloth, wealth touching poverty without hesitation. See that he is cared for. He instructs the nearest official, not as a burden, but as a person. The official bows deeply, understanding that this command carries more than logistical meaning. The emperor rises, Dust marks the knees of his robe. He does not brush it away. Returning to the palanquin, he carries with him not the image of a ruler dispensing charity, but the felt recognition of shared being. As the procession resumes, something subtle has shifted. Music sounds the same, banners still wave, guards still march, yet for those who witnessed the moment, the world feels slightly rearranged, as if a hidden door has been revealed in a familiar wall. True sovereignty is not domination from above, but intimacy with what is below, not separation. Led, but inclusion. Power that does not fear contact with vulnerability becomes something entirely different from power that hides behind distance. Lying here now, on the edge of sleep, you can sense this teaching within your own life. Parts of yourself you treat like royalty, polished and presented to the world. Other parts pushed aside like the man in the road, tired, messy, ashamed, ignored. What happens when the inner ruler turns toward what has been neglected? When awareness kneels beside discomfort instead of ordering it removed? A gentle attention, like offering water to a thirsty place inside, begins to heal divisions you did not even know you were maintaining. Breath continues. Slow and even. The body rests heavier. Thoughts thin into quiet spaces. Within this softening, compassion is no longer an effort or moral duty, but a natural response when separation loosens. Emperor and beggar, teacher and student, thought and awareness distinctions still appear, yet they float in a larger field that holds them all. Rest there now, where nothing essential is outside your care, and nothing real is missing from this moment. The procession disappears into the distance, its sounds fading like echoes in a valley at dusk. What remains is quieter, more intimate, not the spectacle of power, but the simple image of one human being kneeling beside another. Let that image drift with you now, as your mind loosens its grip and your body sinks further into rest. Breath moves on its own, a tide that asks for no management. With each exhale, the day releases its unfinished sentences. Muscles soften. The small efforts you did not notice yourself making begin to dissolve. In this gentle unguarding, another understanding begins to take shape, not through analysis, but through feeling. Compassion is not something added to who you are. It is what remains when the tight boundaries of me and other relax. Like the emperor stepping down from the palanquin, awareness steps down from its high seat of judgment and control, coming closer to the raw, unpolished parts of experience. Some sensations are pleasant, others dull or restless. Some thoughts glow briefly before fading. None need to be pushed away. None need to be held. Each is like a passerby on a wide road, appearing, moving through, disappearing again. If discomfort arises, notice the old habit of turning from it, of sending inner guards to clear it from the path. Then, gently, try something different. Turn toward it, the way the emperor turned toward the man in the street. Not to fix, not to dramatize, simply to be present. What does this feeling need? Perhaps nothing more than to be seen without resistance. Often, what we call suffering is the loneliness of experience exiled from awareness. When it is allowed back into the open, held in simple attention, its sharp edges soften. You may sense places inside that feel tired, overlooked, quietly aching. Parts of you that worked hard all day to appear capable, agreeable, strong. Beneath those layers, more vulnerable currents flow. Fear of not being enough, sadness without a clear story, a longing to rest from effort. Let awareness kneel there. No speeches are required, no grand gestures. Just the warmth of attention, like a cloak placed over cold shoulders. In this meeting, the inner world begins to reorganize itself around kindness rather than control. The breath deepens slightly. The space behind the eyes grows wide and dark, like a night sky without clouds. Thoughts now are faint, like distant lanterns seen through mist. You do not need to follow them. Let them glow and fade on their own. In this quiet, another truth becomes more obvious. Everything you experience arises within awareness, yet awareness itself remains untouched. Sensations change. Hiatigils, emotions shift. Images flicker and vanish. The knowing of them stays open, steady, untroubled. Like the moon reflected in many wells, awareness appears in each experience without being confined to any single one. A pleasant dream, an anxious memory, a neutral breath, each reflects the same clear knowing, which is never stained by what it reveals. Rest as that. There is nothing to achieve here, nowhere else to arrive. Even the wish to sleep can relax. Sleep comes the way night comes to the sky, naturally, when conditions are right. Your only task, if it can be called that, is to allow. Allow the body to be heavy. Allow the mind to be simple. Allow sounds, sensations, and fading thoughts to move without interference. Somewhere in the background, life continues, distant traffic, a shifting house, the quiet hum of the world turning. None of it asks anything from you right now. You are permitted to lay everything down. Imagine a vast, calm lake at night. The surface is smooth, barely stirred. Above, the moon hangs full and luminous. Its reflection rests on the water, whole and undistorted. If a breeze comes, ripples form. The reflection shimmers, breaks, reforms. The moon itself remains unchanged. Your awareness is like that sky moon. Thoughts and dreams are like reflections on water. Whether the surface is still or moving, nothing essential is harmed. There is room for all of it. As you drift closer to sleep, the sense of being a separate, someone managing experience begins to fade. Breathing happens. The heart beats. Images start to loosen into dreamlike shapes. Awareness remains. Quiet and open, not needing to name anything. If a final thought arises, let it be a gentle one. Nothing in you is outside the field of care. Not the confident parts, not the confused parts, not the bright moments, not the heavy ones. All of it belongs. Like the emperor and the man in the road, like moon and reflection, like breath and body. Everything meets here in simple being. Now the edges blur further, sounds grow softer. The pull of sleep becomes stronger than any effort to stay awake. Trust this falling, the way a leaf trusts gravity, the way night trusts the turning of the earth. silk curtains the color of imperial dusk ripple in a mild breeze. 8 bearers, chosen for identical height and measured strength, carry the moving throne with such seamless coordination that the figure within feels no jolting, only the floating glide of being borne above the dust of ordinary roads. The palanquin is more than transport. It is a boundary, a statement that the one inside lives lifted from common life, sheltered from its rough edges. Within layered fabrics and ceremonial weight sits Emperor Daisho, only in his 30th year, yet responsibility has drawn faint lines at the corners of his eyes. His expression holds the practiced balance of a ruler's face, not too grave, not too bright, revealing nothing of the private mind behind the painted com and formal headdress. Behind that composed exterior moves a quick and questioning awareness, a curiosity about the world beyond protocol that sometimes presses against the walls built around him. The procession follows a route designed with care through the most graceful districts of the capital. No broken walls intrude on the imperial gaze. No foul scent drifts toward the imperial breath. Officials have labored for weeks so that only beauty appears. Buildings freshly painted, streets swept clean, citizens dressed in their finest garments. Beggars and wanderers who usually linger in certain corners have been quietly guided elsewhere, beyond the path of royal passage. Despite this careful staging, the unexpected enters. A stronger gust of wind catches the silk curtains, lifting them outward and parting them just long enough to reveal a narrow side street never meant to be seen. In that brief opening, the Emperor's eyes meet something the planners failed to conceal. A body lies in the shadow of a crumbling wall. Daisho's fingers make a small motion. The entire procession halts at once. Drums fall silent. Flutes stop mid-phrase. Music dissolves into a tight, uneasy stillness that spreads through the gathered crowd. The perfect choreography has fractured. There, Daisho says softly to his chief attendant, indicating the side street, "I wish to see." Alarm flickers across the attendant's face. The alley is not prepared. Nothing there has been arranged for imperial sight. No one refuses a direct request from the Emperor. "As you wish," the attendant answers, signaling the bearers. The air shifts as the procession turns from its planned course. Courtiers exchange tense glances. Guards close ranks. Murmurs ripple through the watching citizens at this unplanned change. The bearers step carefully onto uneven ground, moving with new caution. Near the broken wall, the figure becomes clear. A beggar, dead perhaps a day. Thin limbs wrapped in torn cloth. No one has claimed him. No one has moved him. In death, as in life, he has remained invisible to the rushing city. Invisible until now. Emperor Daisho steps down from his palanquin. Gasps escape several attendants. The Emperor's feet do not touch unprepared earth. He does not walk where common dust gathers. Yet here he stands, ceremonial robes brushing the neglected street. He approaches the body without hurry, face still and unreadable. Courtiers and guards remain frozen, stunned by this breach of custom. The common people watch in silent disbelief. No story in memory tells of an emperor drawing near to a beggar's corpse. Daisho stops and stands for several long breaths. What moves through him cannot be known. When he speaks, His voice carries neither revulsion nor blame, only simple recognition. This man also was my subject. The words travel clearly in the hush. He died alone, uncared for, and lies without burial. He turns toward his chief minister, who has rushed to his side. How can I claim to rule this land when such things happen within the shadow of my own palace? The minister begins a practiced defense, too many poor to count, resources stretched thin, matters too small for imperial concern. Daisho lifts a hand. The excuses fall silent. This man will receive proper burial rites, he says. Learn how many others like him live in this capital. Discover what may be done so that such lonely deaths do not continue. He returns to the palanquin. The procession slowly reforms and resumes its way toward the temple, where a ceremony awaits. Something has altered, not only in the day's schedule, but in the emperor himself. A boundary has cracked. Reality has entered through a gap no one planned. In the days that follow, he does not forget. Reports are commissioned on the poorest quarters. Shelters and healing houses are established. At times he travels in simple disguise, moving through streets without announcement, seeing life beyond curated views. Later generations remember him by a different name. Daisho the Compassionate, the ruler who truly saw. This story points toward a core Buddhist teaching, clear seeing. In Zen, it is called Kensho, glimpsing true nature. It begins not with complex philosophy, but with the simple act of noticing what is actually here instead of what we prefer to see. Daisho's awakening did not arise from hours of meditation or scholarly debate. It came through direct, unfiltered contact with something his entire system worked to hide. We may not wear crowns, yet we build similar arrangements in our own lives. Carefully chosen routes through reality that confirm our views and shield us from discomfort. We scroll past news that unsettles us. We avoid places that reveal inequality. We change topics when talk turns toward pain. Parts of the mind act like court officials, arranging a pleasant version of the world. Awakening often begins with what these habits try to prevent. A curtain parts. Something long ignored comes into view. The Buddha's own journey began when, despite great efforts to protect him, he encountered old age, sickness, and death beyond palace walls. Ordinary sights to most, shocking to one kept apart. These encounters set his search in motion. Zen cultivates this open noticing through practices such as just sitting, remaining present with whatever appears, not turning away from the uncomfortable or clinging to the pleasant. What some teachers call beginner's mind allows perception free from heavy layers of expectation and defense. Like Daisho stepping down from his palanquin, we step down from fixed positions and meet what is in front of us. Clear seeing and compassion are not separate. Daisho's response to the dead beggar was not staged. It arose naturally from truly seeing another human life. Buddhism names this compassion karuna, flowing from wisdom, prajna. When suffering is seen without the usual barriers, the heart responds on its own. As you rest more deeply, consider gently what you may be avoiding. What within yourself, within others, within the wider world have you arranged not to see, not as blame, not as pressure, simply as an invitation to notice when a curtain moves and something real appears. Noticing also includes beauty, the more quiet joy, small wonders often missed by a busy mind. The practice remains the same: pausing, allowing, meeting life without heavy filters of judgment or habit. Imagine stepping down from whatever palanquin has carried you. Roles, self-images, carefully shaped views. Feel your feet on the ground of direct experience. See what is here. Notice how the heart responds when nothing is pushed away. This too belongs. You might say to whatever appears, this too is within my field of care. In such simple noticing, the sense of separation softens, control loosens. A different kind of strength appears, rooted in honesty and connection. As sleep draws nearer, let this open attention continue without effort. Sensations in the body, faint thoughts drifting by, emotions rising and fading, all met with the same gentle clarity that changed a ruler into one, remembered for compassion. Rest in that openness as awareness gradually dims into sleep, knowing the capacity to see beyond habits remains, always close, a quiet path toward wisdom, kindness, and freedom. Far away in time and place, another lesson begins to unfold. Morning light filters through bamboo, scattering moving patterns on a narrow path between rice fields. Dew clings to grass along the way. Cultivated land gives way to wilder growth, twisted pines and flowering shrubs marking the rise toward mountains wrapped in mist. A small hut comes into view, built of local wood, its thatched roof weathered by seasons. A monk has lived here for 20 years. Far from the busy temple where his training began, this solitary place seems perfect for deep practice. No bells marking hours, no crowded ceremonies, no monastic politics. Silence, simplicity, breath. Inside, he sits upright on a worn cushion, legs folded in lotus, spine straight yet not stiff, hands resting in the cosmic mudra, thumbs lightly touching, eyes half open, lowered toward the earthen floor, breath steady and slow. The hut holds little: a rolled sleeping mat, a small shelf with a few sutras, a simple altar with a modest Buddha figure, a stick of incense sending a thin thread of smoke upward. Outwardly, everything suggests dedication. Inwardly, something subtler has grown, a quiet pride in discipline, satisfaction in austerity, a sense of being set apart from ordinary life. The form of practice has gradually become a personal achievement. The shift has been so slow he does not see it. Each day for the past year, an old woman from the nearby village has brought food. Her wooden bowl is smooth from use, filled with rice and vegetables from her garden. Her hands are knotted with age and labor, still strong. Her face carries lines of grief and laughter, seasons of living close to the basics of existence. For many years she has heard of the monk's devotion. She has shared from her modest harvest, believing his practice benefits the village and brings merit. Quietly she has wondered what understanding has ripened from such long meditation. Today something different moves in her. A firmness in her step, a clear look in her eyes. She sets the bowl outside the hut and calls softly. The monk opens his eyes fully and rises. moving to receive her offering. Their exchange follows familiar form. Her bow, his nod, bowl changing hands with few words. Before he turns away, she speaks. "I would like to ask you something." He pauses, surprised. "Of course," he replies, a trace of impatience beneath politeness. She meets his gaze. "After all these years of study and meditation, what have you understood of the Buddha's teaching? What wisdom has your practice revealed?" He straightens slightly, ready. "I have realized that Buddha nature pervades all things." He begins, voice taking on a formal cadence. "Everything is emptiness. Form is not separate from emptiness. Emptiness not separate from form. Phenomena arise and pass like dreams, like illusions, like bubbles on water." He continues with familiar phrases, echoes of sutras memorized and ideas long contemplated. As he speaks, her expression changes, not toward reverence, toward disappointment. Kaptispam. When he finishes, silence hangs between them. Suddenly she lifts the bowl and throws it to the ground. Clay shatters on packed earth. Rice scatters across the doorway. 20 years, she cries, voice sharp with anger. 20 years I have supported you, and you offer nothing but dead words and borrowed thoughts. The broken pieces of the bowl lie scattered across the hard earth, white rice mixed with dust at the threshold of the hut. The monk stands frozen, shock rippling through him more sharply than any winter wind that has ever slipped through these thin walls. No one has spoken to him like this in years. No one has challenged the quiet authority he believed surrounded his practice. The old woman's chest rises and falls with the force of her breath. Her hands, still strong despite their age, tremble not with weakness but with fierce clarity. "Dead words," she repeats, more quietly now. "Ideas you have polished like stones, never swallowed, never digested. Tell me, when you are hungry, do you recite the names of dishes, or do you eat?" The monk opens his mouth, then closes it. The teachings he has collected hover in his mind, polished phrases. Intricate explanations. Kaptispam. None seem to fit the rawness of this moment. For 20 years, she continues. You have sat here believing yourself separate, above the dust of ordinary life. You speak of emptiness, yet you cling tightly to the one who understands emptiness. You speak of compassion, yet you have never once asked about the lives of those who bring you food. Her words land without ornament, no philosophy, no ceremony. Heat rises in the monk's face. Part of him wants to defend himself, to explain the depth of his meditation, the subtle states he has known. Another part feels something cracking, like ice breaking at the end of winter. The old woman kneels slowly and begins gathering the spilled rice with her weathered hands. Grains stick to her palms, to her sleeves. She does not hurry. "This," she says, holding up a few grains covered in dirt, "is your practice, mixed with life, not separate, not pure. Can you bow to this?" Something inside him gives way. He drops to his knees without planning to. His robes brush the same dusty ground he once avoided. For the first time in many years, Tears come, not from devotion, not from mystical experience, but from the simple pain of seeing himself clearly. "I do not know," he whispers. The admission hangs in the air, fragile and honest. The old woman studies him for a long moment. The sharpness in her gaze softens, not into indulgence, but into a steady warmth. "Good," she says, "now your practice can begin." She stands, joints stiff but movements sure. Without another word, she turns and walks back down the narrow path toward the village, leaving the monk alone with the broken bowl, the scattered rice, and the echo of her challenge. He remains kneeling long after she disappears from view. The hut is the same. The mountains are the same. The incense still sends a thin line of smoke upward. Nothing outward has changed. Everything inward has shifted. The ideas he once leaned on feel suddenly weightless, like painted screens with nothing behind them. The pride he did not know he carried now feels heavy, obvious. A breeze moves through the doorway, stirring a few grains of rice. He watches them roll across the floor. Simple, ordinary, real. Slowly, he begins picking up the broken pieces of the bowl, each shard sharp, irregular. He handles them carefully, aware of the possibility of being cut. He places them in a small pile beside the wall. Then he gathers the rice, not to save it, but to remove it from the threshold where ants will soon find it. His movements are unhurried, attentive, no thought of merit, no image of being a diligent monk, just the feel of cool grains against his skin. When the doorway is clear, he does not return immediately to his cushion. He steps outside and looks toward the village for a long time. Smoke rises from cooking fires. A dog barks. Someone calls out. Life moves in messy, unarranged ways beyond the quiet of his hut. For years he believed awakening waited somewhere inside stillness, separate from this. Now he feels a question opening, wide and alive. What if the path runs directly through the ordinary, not around it? That afternoon, when he sits again, his posture is less rigid, his breath less controlled. Thoughts still come, but he no longer tries to shape them into something impressive. He watches pride appear. He watches shame. He watches the desire to become someone awakened. Each seen, each allowed. Days pass. The old woman returns with food as before. Their exchanges change. Sometimes she speaks of the weather, of crops, of a neighbor who is ill. He listens, not as a holy man granting attention, but as a human being hearing another's life. Sometimes he asks questions, simple ones, how her back is feeling, whether the rains were enough. Words move between them like water, without ceremony. The more villagers begin to notice he comes down the path occasionally, offering to carry firewood, to help mend a fence, to sit beside someone who is grieving. He does not speak of emptiness. He does not explain Buddha nature. He sweats. He listens. He shares tea. Meditation continues. Hustles, though it looks different, less striving, more intimacy with whatever appears. The hum of insects, the ache in his knees, the memory of the bowl shattering. Understanding grows without announcement. No dramatic visions, no sense of attainment, just a softening of the boundary he once guarded so carefully. Years later, when asked about his realization, he sometimes smiles and says, "An old woman broke my bowl." As you rest now, feel the quiet echo of that sound. Clay meeting earth, certainty breaking open. Nothing added, nothing taken away, only illusion falling apart. Notice where you may be holding polished ideas about yourself, images of being good, wise, spiritual, strong. Gently set them down. Feel the ground beneath, ordinary and steady. Breath moving, body resting, life happening without needing to be turned into a story. Awareness does not need to be special. It only needs to be honest. Like the monk kneeling in the dust, like the emperor stepping into the alley, awakening begins in simple contact with what is here, not above it, not beyond it, right in the middle of it. Let the mind grow quiet, not by force, but because there is nothing left to defend. Let the heart stay open, not as a virtue, but as a natural response to seeing clearly. Sleep comes the same way understanding does, not through struggle, through release. Rest now in that gentle, unguarded space, where nothing needs to be performed, and everything is allowed to be exactly as it is. Night settles softly over the mountains, and the small hut holds the quiet like a bowl holds water. The monk lies on his side, listening to the subtle chorus of insects rising from the grass, the distant rush of a stream threading through stones. Darkness no longer feels like an absence, only a different texture of presence, wide and unadorned. Sleep does not come all at once. Thoughts drift through like travelers passing along a road he no longer feels compelled to follow. A memory of his early years in the great temple appears, bright with ambition and effort. Long hours of sitting, the secret comparisons, the hope that someone would recognize his dedication. The image fades on its own, like mist thinning in morning light. Another thought arises, the old woman's voice sharp as the crack of the bowl. Dead words, borrowed ideas. Instead of flinching, he feels gratitude, warm and unexpected. Her anger had been a gate, not a wound. Breath flows in, breath flows out. No need to make it deeper or calmer. The body knows how to breathe. Crickets know how to sing. The moon knows how to cross the sky without instruction. In the space between waking and dreams, understanding continues its quiet work, not as conclusions, but as a loosening. The sense of being a separate practitioner, someone on a path toward a distant goal, thins like a cloud dissolving into open air. Morning comes with the pale grey light before sunrise. The monk wakes to the sound of wind moving through bamboo leaves, a dry whispering that seems to speak without words. He sits up slowly, joints stiff, blanket folded with simple care. There is no dramatic resolve to become better, no vow to attain enlightenment for the sake of all beings. There is just the next breath, the next movement, the cool touch of the floor beneath his feet. Outside, dew gathers along the edges of leaves. Each drop reflects the growing light, tiny worlds trembling at the slightest breeze. He watches them for a long time, not naming them beautiful, not turning the moment into a teaching. Seeing is enough. Later, as he walks the path toward the village, He notices details he once overlooked. The way mud holds the print of a passing cartwheel, the uneven rhythm of his own steps, a child's laughter spilling from behind a fence. Nothing announces itself as sacred, nothing needs to. At the old woman's house, smoke curls from the chimney. He pauses at the gate, feeling a brief flutter of shyness. Not the shyness of status, but the simple vulnerability of meeting another person without a role to hide behind. She opens the door before he can knock, as if she sensed him standing there. "You came early," she says, eyeing him with familiar sharpness. "I wanted to help in the fields today," he replies. She studies his face, searching perhaps for performance, for spiritual politeness. Finding none, she nods once and hands him a hoe. They work side by side in the cool morning. Earth breaks open under steady pressure. Roots release their hold. Sweat gathers along his back. Muscles ache in ways meditation never reached. At one point he straightens, pressing a hand to his lower back. The old woman snorts softly. "Emptiness aching?" she asks. He laughs, the sound surprising him with its ease. Very much so. No doctrine passes between them, yet the field feels like a sutra written in soil and effort, each movement complete in itself. No need to store it as spiritual progress. Seasons turn. Bamboo shoots push through the ground. Snow later hushes the landscape into white stillness. The monk's hair thins, threads of grey appearing at his temples. Practice continues without announcement. Sometimes villagers ask him questions about suffering, about loss, about fear of death. He does not offer grand explanations. He listens. He sits with them. Occasionally he says, "Stay with the feeling. See where it lives." Simple words, rooted in his own unguarded seeing. When storms tear branches from trees, he helps clear the paths. When illness comes to the village, he boils water, carries messages, keeps vigil through long nights. No thought of being compassionate arises. Response flows the way water follows the shape of the land. One evening, years after the bowl shattered, he sits outside his hut watching the sky deepen from gold to indigo. A question surfaces gently. What was awakened? No answer forms. Only the sound of wind, the fading light, the steady rhythm of breath. The need to define dissolves before it can harden. In that open not knowing, there is no monk, no attainment, no failure. Just this living moment, vivid and ungraspable. As you drift closer to sleep, let this simplicity settle around you. Nothing extra is required. No perfect state of mind. No special insight. Feel the weight of your body supported, the quiet pulse of breath. Thoughts moving like fireflies, brief points of light in a wide night. You do not have to push them away. You do not have to follow them. Awareness is already here, gentle and steady, like the mountains holding the small hut through wind and weather. If pride appears, let it be seen. If doubt appears, let it be seen. If calm comes, if restlessness comes, all of it belongs. Nothing needs to be turned into a problem. Like the old woman's shout, like the emperor's glance down a hidden alley, like the monk's knees touching dust, awakening hides inside ordinary moments honestly met. Sleep approaches the same way, not as something to achieve, but as a natural settling when resistance grows tired. Let go of the day's roles, the stories about who you are supposed to be. Set them beside you like robes folded at night. Remain as the simple knowing that is still here when plans fade, when memories loosen, when even the sense of a watcher begins to blur. Breath softens, muscles release. The boundary between inside and outside thins, like mist dissolving into open space. Rest there, where nothing is missing and nothing extra can be added, where life breathes itself, quietly, completely, through this moment, through this body, through the gentle dark of sleep. The teacher's smile is small, almost private. Beds, as if directed as much toward the garden as toward the merchant standing beside him. This garden, he says softly, is not here for decoration. It is here to reveal the mind that looks at it. Tanaka frowns slightly, unsure whether he is being given a profound teaching or a riddle. He studies the gravel, the stones, the single maple tree shedding red leaves onto white ground. I see balance, he says after a moment. Careful design, nothing excessive. Good, Son Shoku replies. Now tell me, when you leave this temple, will the garden come with you? Tanaka almost laughs. Of course not. Yet the peace you briefly felt when you entered the gate, the master continues, you assumed came from this place, from the quiet, from the arrangement of things. Tanaka hesitates. Iatisils. That had been his assumption. If peace depends on conditions, the teacher says, then it will always be fragile. When conditions change, peace vanishes. You have spent your life arranging conditions, wealth, influence, security, believing they would produce a stable happiness. He looks directly at Tanaka. How has that worked? The merchant exhales slowly. Not well, he admits. Son Shoku nods. You are like a man trying to calm the surface of a pond by smoothing each ripple with his hands. Even if he succeeds for a moment, the next breeze will disturb it again. They stand in silence. A leaf detaches from the maple and spirals downward, landing softly on the gravel. Peace does not come from controlling the ripples, the teacher says. It comes from recognizing you are not the surface of the pond. Tanaka's brow furrows. Not the surface. Then what am I? The teacher does not answer immediately. Instead, he bends down and picks up a fallen maple leaf. Its red is deep, veins branching like tiny rivers. This leaf was green in summer, he says. Now it is red. Soon it will be brown, then dust. If the leaf believed itself to be only its color, each change would be a crisis. He places the leaf gently back on the ground. You have believed yourself to be your wealth, your reputation. Eds, your success. So every fluctuation in fortune feels like a threat to your very existence. Tanaka feels the truth of this like a quiet blow. The sleepless nights, the constant calculations, the fear that one bad season, one political shift, one dishonest partner could undo everything. If I am not these things, he asks quietly, what remains? Son Shoku turns from the window and meets his gaze fully. The one who knows the fear, he says, the one who is aware of restlessness, before profit, before loss, before the name Tanaka was ever praised or criticized. Something in the room grows very still. Tanaka searches his experience, not his thoughts. Beneath the swirl of plans and worries, there is indeed a simple sense of being, present whether his business thrives or falters. He has never paid it much attention. It earned no money, won no contracts. That awareness, the teacher continues, does not increase when your fortune grows. It does not shrink when you lose. It has been quietly present in childhood, in success, in disappointment. Beds. He gestures toward Tanaka's chest, not touching, just indicating. You have overlooked the one treasure that cannot be stolen. The merchant feels a strange mix of relief and resistance. Part of him wants to grasp this as a new possession, a spiritual asset to add to his portfolio. Sensing this, Son Shoku smiles again. Be careful, he says gently. Do not turn this into another acquisition. Tanaka almost blushes. What should I do? He asks. Nothing special, the teacher replies. Begin by noticing. When anxiety about your wealth arises, instead of immediately trying to fix the outer situation, pause. Feel the anxiety in the body. Notice that it is known. The knowing itself is not anxious. He returns to his cushion and sits. Visit that knowing again and again, not to escape your responsibilities, but to hold them more lightly. Conduct your business, care for your family, make decisions. But do not confuse these passing roles with what you are. Tanaka sits very still. No grand mystical state appears. No vision, just the quiet room. The faint scent of incense, the sound of a bell in the distance. Yet something subtle shifts. The problems of his life remain, but they no longer press against the center of his being with the same crushing weight. After a long time, he bows deeply, more deeply than etiquette requires. I cannot promise I understand completely, he says. You do not need to. Son Shoku replies. Understanding will ripen through living, not through collecting more ideas. Tanaka reaches into his sleeve, then pauses. The offer of a large donation feels different now, almost like trying to pay for sunlight. I would still like to support the temple, he says carefully, but not as a transaction. The teacher inclines his head. Give if giving brings joy. Keep if keeping brings wisdom. Zen is not improved by gold, nor harmed by its absence. When Tanaka leaves the temple grounds, the world looks the same. Merchants shout in the streets. Carts rattle past. Responsibilities wait like always. Yet as he walks, he notices his breath for the first time in years. Cool air entering, warm air leaving. Simple, free. Worries arise about shipments, about rivals, about the future. Each one still sharp, still persuasive. But now, alongside them, there is also the quiet sense of the one who knows the worry. He does not become instantly serene. He still makes mistakes, still feels fear, but gradually, like a knot loosening thread by thread. His grip softens. He spends more evenings with his family, not as another duty, but as moments that will not repeat. He makes decisions with care, yet sleeps a little more easily, knowing that loss, when it comes, cannot take everything. Years later, people say Tanaka remained a skilled and prosperous merchant. They also say he laughed more easily and listened more fully than before. When asked what changed, he sometimes answers, "I stopped trying to own what cannot be owned." As you rest now, let these stories settle like leaves on still water. The monk losing his hut, the emperor stepping into an unseen alley, the merchant discovering a treasure that cannot be counted. Notice your own breath moving beneath effort, sensations rising and fading on their own, thoughts appearing, staying briefly, dissolving. You do not have to push life away to find peace. You do not have to gather more to feel complete. Beneath the changing weather of experience, there is a simple awareness already here, quietly knowing this moment. Let the body grow heavy. Let the mind grow soft. Nothing to prove, nothing to protect. Like a garden viewed through an open window, like embers cooling under the night sky, like a leaf drifting to the ground. This moment is enough. Rest in that quiet sufficiency as sleep carries you gently into its dark, spacious embrace. She points to the grains scattered across the ground, to the cracked bowl lying on its side. That rice once swayed in the wind, she says. These vegetables pushed up through living earth. Even this simple bowl was formed by hands that understood creation, not just repetition. The monk stands motionless, stunned into silence by a moment that refuses to fit inside the tidy order of his spiritual life. Color rises in his face, part shame, part indignation. Before he can gather words sharp enough to defend himself, the old woman turns her back and walks down the path, leaving him alone amid the fragments of her offering. He returns to his cushion, but the stillness he once entered so easily now feels brittle. His breath will not settle. His thoughts circle restlessly. Her challenge has slipped beneath the surface of his practice like water, finding hidden cracks. Doubt seeps in. Has his devotion been alive, or merely precise? Has he been walking a path, or polishing an image of one? The questions spin through him like dry leaves caught in a sudden gust, never landing, never quiet. As dusk begins to gather along the trees, he sees her shape again on the path from the village. Perhaps she has come to mend the rupture, he tells himself. Perhaps harmony will be restored, but as she comes closer, he notices the glow in her hands. Not food this time, but flame. His heart lurches. He rushes forward, arms raised. Stop. What are you doing? This hut is all I have. His voice trembles with fear he cannot disguise. Her face is steady now, free of anger, lit instead by a firm and sorrowful kindness. If your understanding were real, she says softly, nothing essential could be taken from you. She lifts the torch toward the dry thatch. If your realization were true, you would see this shelter as passing as dew, as insubstantial as mountain mist. Before he can reach her, fire takes hold. The roof ignites with a hungry rush, flames racing along the straw, leaping into the darkening sky. Heat presses against his skin. Inside, scrolls curl and blacken. The altar collapses. The cushion where he sat for 20 years vanishes in sparks. Watch his face in the firelight. First outrage, then disbelief. There, by what right? How could compassion look like this? But as the structure gives way and embers whirl upward, something inside him loosens. The distance between his polished words about emptiness and the raw fact of loss stands exposed, impossible to ignore. The teachings he recited so fluently now blaze before him as lived reality. Everything he called mine dissolves into smoke. In that fierce brightness, a different kind of seeing begins, not the awakening he once imagined, with himself quietly at the center, but a humbler recognition of how tightly he had been holding even his spiritual life. The flames reveal the subtle pride he never noticed, the quiet belief that his discipline made him secure. As the hut collapses inward, tears stream down his cheeks. He grieves, yes, but also for the first time understands what he has been clinging to. The old woman stands beside him, torch lowered, saying nothing. When she sees the shift in his eyes, the softening, the honesty, she nods once, as if a difficult task has reached its end. Then she turns and walks back toward the village, leaving him with the fire and the night. Later, villagers will speak of finding him seated before the ashes, spine upright, face open in a way they had never seen. Some say he rebuilt a small shelter there, simpler than before. Others say he wandered from place to place, speaking not from memorized texts, but from the clarity born in that burning. All agree that whatever wisdom flowered in him began the night. Fierce compassion stripped away the last of his pretense. This story cuts to the heart of a demanding truth. Knowing is not the same as realizing. The monk had gathered teachings the way others gather possessions. He could explain emptiness, recite sutras, maintain flawless form. Yet these lived only in thought, not in bone and breath. The old woman saw the gap he could not. Zen speaks of the difference between understanding that can be collected and realization that must be lived. The first can decorate the self, even strengthen the very identity it claims to dissolve. The second often arrives when those decorations fall away. The burning hut stands for that necessary loss. To modern eyes, her act may seem harsh, even unforgivable. Yet Zen calls such action skillful, means responses shaped not by cruelty, but by a clear wish for another's freedom. Like a surgeon cutting to remove what cannot heal on its own, she did what gentler gestures could not accomplish. As your body relaxes more deeply now, let this story turn inward. Where have you gathered ideas you do not yet live? What truths can you speak beautifully, yet struggle to embody when life presses hard? Notice the huts you have built, roles, achievements, beliefs, images of who you are. Feel how naturally the mind moves to protect them. Imagine, gently, what it would be like if one of them were shaken. Would your understanding hold, or would fear rush in first? It is in these moments of disruption that practice becomes real. Spiritual maturity is not measured by how much we accumulate objects, knowledge, even peaceful experiences, but by how we meet their passing. Can loss be met with the same steadiness as gain? Can blame be received as openly as praise? Can endings be faced with the same grace as beginnings? These questions lead beyond philosophy into lived wisdom. Practice does not promise a life free from change. It offers the capacity to stay present as change moves through. As sleep draws nearer, picture yourself sitting before the cooling embers of all you once relied on. Notice what remains when roles and possessions fall silent. Sense the space that opens when you loosen your grip on who you think you must be. There is a quiet freedom here, a freedom no achievement can grant. The freedom of discovering that your deepest nature requires no defense, no decoration, no shelter from the weather of existence. Let the old woman's fierce kindness become an invitation not to abandon practice, but to let it ripen from performance into presence, from collecting into being. As awareness drifts toward dreams, rest in the understanding that awakening often begins exactly where our carefully constructed identities end, among the sacred ashes of what we thought we knew. Feel the weight of your body supported completely now. Each breath carries you further from the day, into a softer, twilight space where stories unfold like lantern light on water. We travel to another time, another place, where a different kind of lesson is waiting. Autumn flames across maple trees in deep red and gold around a quiet temple. Leaves fall in slow spirals, carpeting the path with a soft whisper under approaching feet. The air is crisp with their scent, threaded with a faint ribbon of incense drifting from the meditation hall. A bronze bell sounds across the valley, its tone round and lingering, calling monks to afternoon practice. Through this vivid stillness walks a man who seems to belong to another world. Silk rustles softly as he moves. Gold thread catches the light along his outer robe. His hands are smooth, unmarked by field or forge. He carries himself with the ease of someone long accustomed to respect. Yet tension tightens his shoulders. A crease rests between his brows. This is Tanaka, a merchant of immense success, whose ships and warehouses span the length of the country. By every measure of wealth, he has more than enough, and still, something hollow follows him like a shadow. With each new gain, satisfaction fades more quickly. Sleep slips away. Worry over protecting what he owns fills the quiet hours. Even those close to him have noticed the change, the way his gaze drifts elsewhere, how joy rarely warms his face. This unease has brought him here, not from devotion, but from a restlessness no purchase has eased. He has come to meet a Zen teacher known for cutting through confusion with unusual clarity. Though he has long dismissed priests as idle dependents, his discomfort has grown stronger than his skepticism. As he steps through the temple gate, his pace slows without his willing it. The stillness here presses gently against him. For a brief moment, the constant calculations of profit and risk fall silent. He becomes aware almost uncomfortably of his own breathing, his own heartbeat. Before a word is spoken, the temple has already begun its teaching. The garden rests in balanced simplicity. The teacher says, at last, white gravel carefully raked, stones placed with intention, a single tree allowed to blaze in its season, nothing extra, nothing missing. Tanaka nods, unsure whether he is being examined or instructed. If a storm scatters the leaves, Son Shoku continues, is the garden ruined? Tanaka hesitates. Iatusils. No, it would simply be different until it was tended again. And if the tree one day falls, the merchant frowns slightly, then it would no longer be this garden. The teacher turns his gaze from the maple leaves to Tanaka's face. You see how easily you accept change here. Yet with your own life, you demand permanence. The words land more deeply than Tanaka expects. He looks again at the garden, at the drifting leaves he had first admired only as decoration. A breeze passes, lifting a scatter of red across the white gravel, dissolving the careful lines. No one rushes out to fix it. You suffer, the teacher says gently, not because you possess much, but because you believe what you possess must not change, must not leave, must guarantee your safety. Tanaka straightens. What is a familiar defensiveness rising? Is it wrong to wish to protect what one has built through effort and intelligence? There is nothing wrong with care, Son Shoku replies. The pain comes from confusing care with control, and wealth with security. They return to their cushions. Silence settles, not awkward, but spacious. Tanaka feels an unfamiliar urge to fill it with argument, yet something in the teacher's stillness invites him to wait instead. Tell me, the master says after a time, when you were a child with nothing, were you unable to feel moments of peace? Tanaka blinks. There, caught off guard, images surface unbidden running along a riverbank, the taste of simple rice, his mother's laugh before illness took her. He exhales slowly. No, there were peaceful times. And now, with everything you once thought would guarantee happiness, Tanaka lowers his gaze. Peace feels fragile, always threatened. Son Shoku nods. Then your wealth has not removed insecurity. It has only given your fear more things to cling to. The truth of this moves through Tanaka like a quiet blade. He thinks of locked storehouses, guarded ledgers, sleepless nights imagining fire, theft, betrayal. His fortune has grown, and with it, the territory of his worry. What should I do? He asks, and for the first time there is no trace of bargaining in his voice, no offer of donation, no expectation of transaction, just a man asking plainly. The teacher studies him, not as a problem to be solved, but as a life unfolding. First, see clearly, he says. Notice how the mind ties its sense of self to what it owns, to what others think, to what might happen tomorrow. This tying is the tension you live with. He pours tea into 2 simple cups. Steam rises between them. When you drink, just drink. When you count your money, just count. When fear appears, know it as fear. Do not immediately build a story around it. Tanaka wraps his hands around the warm cup. The instruction sounds almost insultingly simple. Yet, as he takes a sip, he realizes how rarely he tastes anything without also planning, comparing, evaluating. If I stop striving, will my business not fail? He asks. The teacher smiles faintly. I did not say stop acting. I said, stop believing your peace depends on the outcome. Act fully. Care for what is in front of you, but do not look to profit to tell you who you are. Outside, the bell sounds again, low and resonant. Its vibration lingers in Tanaka's chest. For a moment, there is just the sound, no ambition, no fear, no past, no future. This, says Son Shoku softly, is always available, not because circumstances are perfect, but because awareness is already here before gain and loss are measured. Tanaka feels something loosen that he did not know he was gripping. The room remains plain. His problems are not magically solved. His ships still sail uncertain seas. Yet the tightness in his chest eases, just slightly. Like a knot beginning to give way. You may make a donation if you wish, the teacher adds, almost as an afterthought, but not as payment for peace. Peace cannot be purchased, only recognized. Bat. A quiet, unexpected laugh escapes Tanaka. For the first time in years, it feels unforced. He bows more deeply than etiquette requires. When he leaves the temple grounds, the autumn air feels sharper, cleaner. The world has not changed, yet colors seem less like possessions to be acquired and more like moments passing through open space. As you drift closer to sleep, let this meeting settle beside the story of the burning hut. One shows what happens when life takes away what we cling to. The other reveals the gentle suffering of clinging even while everything remains. Feel your breath moving without your effort. Notice how the body rests without needing to earn rest. For these moments, nothing is required of you. Nothing to achieve. Nothing to defend. Thoughts may come, like merchants tallying gains and losses. Let them pass like leaves across a quiet garden. Sensations may rise and fall, like flames that flare and fade. Let them move without building a story around them. Beneath the changing weather of experience, there is a simple awareness already present. It does not grow richer with praise nor poorer with blame. It is not improved by success, nor damaged by failure. Rest there now, in that unguarded space. Let the roles you carry loosen. Let the day dissolve. As dreams begin to gather at the edges of the mind, sink gently into the freedom of needing nothing in this moment. Just breathing, just being. The teacher lets his gaze drift back toward the garden. Nothing here has been imported from some rare and distant land, he says. Stones, soil, plants, open space. The same elements exist in any wild place. Beauty appears through careful placing and gentle clearing, through allowing what is unnecessary to fall away. He looks at Tanaka with quiet steadiness. The peace you long for unfolds in the same manner. It does not arrive because more things are added to your life. It becomes visible when what is extra is set down, revealing the quiet richness already present. Tanaka's forehead tightens. Treasure, within me, I do not see such a thing. Rather than answering directly, the teacher returns to his cushion and gestures for Tanaka to sit again. Once they have settled, he asks in an almost casual tone, "When you were young, before you owned storehouses or ships, did you ever feel completely at ease, moments when nothing needed to change?" The question slips past Tanaka's usual defenses. His eyes soften as memory opens. Lying on warm earth, watching clouds reshape themselves in the summer sky. The sweet burst of juice from fruit eaten straight from the branch. The simple pride of being told he had done well by someone he loved. These scenes feel immediate, alive in a way his recent years have not. Yes, he says quietly, there were times like that. What is different now? The teacher asks. Is it only your circumstances, or something in the way you meet them? Silence gathers. Tanaka does not rush to fill it. He looks inward, not as a merchant calculating gain, but as a man noticing the texture of his own days. A clear realization surfaces. His constant reaching for more has carried him further from the ease he once knew without effort. I think I see, he says slowly, but I cannot become a child again. I cannot forget what I know or abandon the life I have built. The teacher nods. There is no need to return to innocence. There is a simplicity that appears on the far side of complexity. It begins when you recognize that what you seek cannot be found where you have been searching. He gestures toward the calligraphy scroll in the alcove. Do you know those words? Tanaka studies the bold strokes. I cannot read them. They say, open your own treasure house. Not mine. Not the Buddha's. Yours. It has never been locked, never been empty. You have only been looking in another direction. The words seem to settle not just in Tanaka's thoughts, but in his body. A subtle easing moves through his shoulders, like armor set down without fanfare. This is not information to store, but a recognition of something intimately familiar. How do I open it? He asks, his voice stripped of negotiation. Begin by pausing, the teacher replies. Stop assuming contentment waits in the next success, the next possession, the next improvement. Stop treating life as a bargain where happiness must be purchased. He lifts his tea and drinks. When the outward rush quiets, even briefly, you may notice what has always been here. He closes his eyes for a moment. The room grows deeply still, a stillness that feels alive rather than empty. Tanaka, almost without intending to, also becomes quiet. Not the tense silence of a paused transaction, but a simple absence of reaching. For a breath or two, there is just sitting, just awareness. No measuring, no striving. In that small opening, a sense of completeness appears, gentle and unmistakable. Nothing added, nothing missing. When the teacher opens his eyes, he sees the change in Tanaka's expression. That, he says softly, is the doorway to your treasure house. Not a method to own, not a teaching to collect, a direct noticing of what does not come and go. Tanaka bows, deeply this time. Gratitude rises that has nothing to do with advantage. Thank you, he says. I came looking for techniques. You have shown me something far more simple. I have only pointed, the teacher replies. The seeing is yours. As the meeting draws to a close, Tanaka places a pouch of coins on the floor. For the temple, the teacher does not reach for it. What we have spoken of cannot be bought. If you give, let it come from fullness, not from an attempt to secure merit or favor. Only you can know the difference. Tanaka pauses. He feels the familiar impulse to make even generosity into an investment. Seeing this clearly, something relaxes. He sets down a second pouch, this time with a quiet smile that asks for nothing in return. When he walks back through the fallen leaves, he carries no new spiritual possession to defend, only a question that will unfold through the rest of his life. What shifts when I stop searching outside for what has always lived here? This story points to a simple truth echoed across many streams of Buddhist teaching. The peace we chase through endless accumulation already exists as a quiet capacity within awareness itself. Our seeking obscures it, the way clouds hide the sun without ever touching its light. As you move closer to sleep, notice the same pattern in your own experience. The mind leaning toward the next thing, the next resolution, the next moment that will finally feel complete. See how that movement creates a subtle tension, a background sense that something is not yet enough. Then notice what happens in the pauses, in a breath fully felt, in the simple contact of your body with the surface beneath you, in the space between two thoughts. A natural okayness can be sensed there, needing no improvement. Your own treasure house has never been empty. The capacity for ease, for clarity, for quiet kindness is woven into your very awareness. These qualities do not need to be imported or earned. They appear when the grasping hand loosens. The path is less about adding and more about uncovering, gently setting down habits of comparison, fear, and endless becoming. What remains is not dull or blank, but quietly alive. This does not require abandoning your responsibilities or ambitions. Like the merchant, you can continue your work, care for your family, make plans. The difference lies in where you stand inwardly. Acting from a sense of lack tightens the world. Acting from an already present wholeness allows life to flow with more ease. As sleep draws nearer, let this be an invitation rather than an instruction. Nothing to achieve tonight, nothing to fix, just the soft rhythm of breathing, the steady presence that has been here through every success and every loss. Rest as that. Let thoughts drift like leaves across a garden of open space. Let the day dissolve without needing to hold it together. The treasure you have been seeking waits quietly in this simple awareness, patient, unchanged, already home.